Sills, baby. Yes, sir. How you doing 6 days until NFL free agency? I'm the most relevant show in Philadelphia. Come aboard, little kiddies. How you doing? How you doing? Leave Stevie alone. Leave him alone. By the way, guys, we appreciate you picking us. You could go anywhere. And I always implore you, hey, if you think there's somewhere else to go, click it on for about 2 minutes. You'll be right back here with Big Sills. Hit the like button. Supers go to the top. As we said, 6 days until free agency. And what are the priorities going to be now for the Philadelphia Eagles? Who's next? We're going to take a look at the last 3 days. Okay? There's also news coming out of Cleveland that it looks like the Cleveland Browns are trying to bribe Myles Garrett to stay. They're trying to bribe Myles Garrett so that he will stay. Okay? And I don't blame him. 3 years, $116 million. Absolutely, man. I would too. What the hell else do you have? And by the way, let's go here. Andrew Berry, a protege of Howie Roseman. He worked in Philly. What is he doing? He cleared money through the Deshaun Watson contract so he could try to bribe Myles Garrett to stay. Okay? Elite. JAKIB Biz, thank you, Sills. Jason, thank you, brother. We appreciate you guys coming aboard and growing your show at an incredible rate. By the way, Gardner Johnson and Slay at it already. Slay calling, allegedly. Gardner Johnson and a poor teammate. Woo! You can never get enough Eagle content. Man, these guys give you the content. I love it. Please hit the like button, guys. We so appreciate you. I do, man. Hey, we now have battling champion teammates. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, my friends. It's all good. Hey, I want to give you guys a little bit of an overview of what's happened the last 2 days with Howie Roseman. Your BS takes are elite. Thank you there, Twiz. I'm in a great mood. You know why? I realize who the competition is. Not that hard. It's like the Eagles playing against the Tennessee Titans. Not that difficult. How you doing? You've been killing it this offseason, Sills. Elite! Jeff the Bone, how you doing, brother? Oh, yeah, I'm in a great mood, man. Just by your reactions the last couple days. I know where you're coming. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. I want to lay something out here for you. Okay? I want to lay this out for you. Give me a sense on why you think this offseason looks better than the 2018 after the Super Bowl and the offseason of 2023, I should say 22-23 offseason. Why does this look different? Why does this look different, in your opinion? Just a couple takeaways. Nothing crazy. Why does this look different? Player retention. Reyes? Yes, but I'm going to expand on that. And we're younger overall. He's getting there. He's almost hitting the nail on the head. He's there. He's in the room. We did it with younger players. Yes. I'm going to lay this out for you here. Rhett, here he is right here. Heath, Yes. Let me show you what's different this time and why you have an actual Super Bowl window. By the way, today, Merrill Reese and Angelo Cataldi will be with us. Merrill Reese will join us at 3:30. Angelo will join us at 5:30. We'll have Xander at 4:30, and we'll have you in the middle here. Bunch of stuff to hit on here, man. Tony Dungy told me this a long time ago when he was rebuilding the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Players buying in. Follow me here, though, Matt, and where you are right now. Dungy said when he was building that defensive football team in Tampa, what did he have? He had homegrown draft choices. Rondé Barber, Quinyon Mitchell, Warren Sapp, Jalen Carter. Defensive tackle, Booger McFarland. Safety, John Lynch. Cooper DeJean. Reed Blankenship. You have a core group of young guys. It is easier to go out in free agency and find pieces you need when you have a core group. Instead of having to do what you did in 22, I'm going to use 22 more than 17 because I wasn't here for 17. So 22, this is what you had. Almost every single player you had that started on that 22 team were rented. The edge rusher, the linebackers. I know you found TJ Edwards as a UDFA. But everybody else, pretty much, they were not homegrown guys. You, right now, here's your homegrown dudes. You ready? Here's your homegrown guys. Smith, Davis, Carter, N'Kobe Dean, Q, Cooper, and Reed. There's a core here now. This is why you feel better going into the offseason here, and why some of you are saying, hey, Sills, do you really see a huge drop-off in this defense coming back? Not if you do it right. And when you add a piece like Bond back and you go into free agency and maybe or the draft and you get an edge, you bring Slay back at corner, you're probably better. Take a look at the offensive side. This is why you can add A.J. Brown and Barkley. You got a core group of dudes on that side. You know what's happening? The defensive side's catching up with the offense. Look how many core group of dudes you have instead of rent a guy. Your entire offensive line, except for Becton, is homegrown. 4 of the 5. One of your top receivers. Your quarterback's homegrown. All you had to do was add a guard, a running back, and a very talented wideout. You can replace those guys when you have a core group of dudes. The team is built better now. This team is built for longevity, is what I'm saying. CJ is not homegrown. You traded for him with the New Orleans Saints. He's not homegrown. Now, remember something here. People are going, dynasty. Well, the Ravens didn't have one, and nor did the Bucs. They were good for a long period of time. Now, again, you've done something better than what those other teams did. That Ravens defense and that Buck defense. What did you do? In the last 3 years, you've been to 2 Super Bowls. That team and those 2 teams didn't do that. They didn't have that consistency. Now, I think it's tougher to build a team today than it's ever been. That's what makes Roseman's value so high. Howie Roseman is probably one of the most valuable pieces in the NFL in the right situation, though. Howie's not Howie, say in New York with the Jets. Let me ask you guys something about Howie and how he's building this team. You think Woody Johnson, that shitty owner with the Jets, you think that guy would give Howie Roseman the latitude? Do you think he'd give him the latitude? That Jeffrey Lurie does? Absolutely not. He's not Howie Roseman. Okay? He's not Howie Roseman. He's not Roseman in New York. He's not Roseman in Dallas. Hey, and by the way, we got to get Mark Holmes on again. Mark Holmes is saying things. I think he needs a psychiatrist. He's talking about guys who are being cut like Devontae Adams and some of these other players that have been released because they're cap casualties. And he's talking like the Dallas Cowboys are going to put the right chess pieces on the checkerboard that they play with. He's fucking high. He's fucking high. Dude, the Commanders are further ahead. I heard ESPN say this Eagles team that won the Super Bowl could beat the 2000 Ravens. Shannon Sharp had to correct them. Shannon Sharp is talking about his legacy. That's why he would say that. Do I think that this football team would be better than that 2000 Ravens team? I think the way it was constructed. By the way, got to remember something about that 2000 team. Free agency wasn't gigantic then like it is today. And salary cap implications were not as huge as it is right now, where you have massive turnover. If the Eagles were able to keep players on their football team like they have the last 5 years, and if they could keep all the guys they wanted, I don't think that Ravens team could beat them. I think Jamal Lewis is a great back. I think Barkley's better. There's not one wide receiver on that football team that could start for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024. No one. The tight end could. That O-line is not better. Hey, and I like Bryant McKinney. He ain't Jordan Mailata. That entire offensive line in Philadelphia would not have one player from the Ravens team on that team. I think Jonathan Ogden may have been on that team, and if that's the case, he would start over. He would start over Ogden. He would start over Mailata. He would. Defensively, I think the front's better. The two interior tackles are better in Philly than they were with the Ravens. Saragusa is a good player. The linebacker, obviously, Ray Lewis is a top 2 player in the history of the game. And the safety is the greatest safety in the history of the game. So when you have those two dynamics like that, remember, now I don't remember now. I'll have to take this back. If Reed wasn't on that team, there's no question that Ravens defense was great because of the people they had in the secondary. And they had Suggs as a pass rusher. Ray Lewis is the greatest linebacker in pro football history. Guy's got a Super Bowl MVP to his name, too. Besides the 3 NFL Player of the Year awards. I mean, guy's 3-time NFL Player of the Year, and he's got a Super Bowl MVP and 10 Pro Bowls. I don't know. I mean, guy's got 2 Super Bowl rings. What do you want me to say about it? Look at this. Mark Holmes says, I'm scared to have him on. I posted that stupid video he put about the shitty Cowboys. Come on, bro. Get back to this here. I thought Reed was not on. Oh, he may not have been, Q. I know he was on that team that won against the 49ers. He may not have been on that 2000. It was Woodson. Yeah, okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sean. It was Woodson, who's a Hall of Famer, too. Not quite Ed Reed, though. Okay, he's not quite Ed Reed, but Rod Woodson he's a phenomenal football player. Better years were in Pittsburgh, obviously. Hit the like button, guys. We appreciate you. Do you understand what you're doing here with Howie's done the last couple days here, these last 3 days? He created cap space, not hurting a relationship with Slay. Bradbury knew the whole time he was a pawn in this entire chess game. And he was looking for the right time to release him to get around 2.5 in cap relief. He used that money like, hey, but guys, if you remember right, we said it the day before. All of those things that he did came out to be Zach Bond, even with the extension. Your window, you didn't have one at 22. I never thought you did. We were dead nails on that 2023 team. We were dead nails on that 2022 team. The 2024 team shocked the shit out of me and all the things that they did and how everybody had a career year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That team did things that a lot of folks didn't think were possible. You got a core group of people now getting a pass rusher in free agency, signing a linebacker, doing anything like that. It's much easier. It's absolutely much easier than it is to constantly rebuild. Think about it. The 2022 defense were mercenaries. The 2017 defense were mercenaries. That's not the case here. That's not the case. You got guys that you know are going to be in the building. You got a core group of guys. Tony Dungy told me, when you're building a football team, if you don't draft well and have look at what they even had on offense. Mike Allstott. The offensive line guys they had in the football team then too. When they had that team when they were assembling that Bucs team. You had all those young football players that panned out in the draft. I think actually the defensive side of the ball with the drafting of Roseman is catching up. Can they be consistent? You see, the question mark going into 2024 now, it's not if they're good. It's if they're going to be consistent. Are you going to be able to put back-to-back years up? Hey, by the way, I will say this to you about Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean. I won't say it about Carter. Davis. Here's what I'll say. Jordan Davis has not had a very good career in Philly. He's had an underachieving career in Philly. I know you don't like to hear that, but he's underachieved. Of all the draft picks that were first-round picks, he's underachieved. Carter's covering for his weakness. If you didn't have Jalen Carter on that football team, it would be magnified more. His failures on reaching the expectation. You know what? It's not fair to the player. But the 13th pick gives you expectations just in itself where you took him. Just where you took him. He's underachieved. So far, my take is Nolan Smith. You can make this comment. He's underachieved. However, I will put this asterisk next to him. Given more reps, playing him more. Hey, here's a massive mistake. You should have fucking played him at 23. You had the time. Steven goes, Trotter Jr.'s insane athletic. Is that why he went in the 5th round? He's slow. Now, you can overcome that with instincts. I wouldn't say Trotter Jr. is a great athlete. I would say he's got very good instincts. And you have to have that to play that position. That's not a tag I would put on him. He's athletic. There's a reason you go in the 5th round. because you didn't perform well athletically. You understand it? The combines are exactly for athletic display for you to put it on. Okay? And I Philly 4x4, I think there's something to that. I do. I think when you see Trotter's name, you're like, dude has to play like his old man. And Trotter Sr. was a hell of a football player. Okay, he was. Get this. Steve said that a 5th-round draft choice who ran a 4.9 is BS. Okay. Sure. I was faster than Trotter on my pro day, on his pro day. And I was 292 pounds. How you doing? Talking athletically here. He's not ready to play yet. He's just not. Again, let me get back to this. So the formula and the template that they have is a lot easier to fill the holes. And that's why I think Howie Roseman's having a superstar offseason right now. Because it's easier this time than it was when you had to replace those veteran guys. Look at all the veteran guys that you had to replace after that 22 season. All those players had career years and went on to free agency. That's why 23 fell off the map. You know why? You really had no core guys in the draft to pick up the pieces and try to make that unit better. Now you do. Now you do, and now you are. Okay? Now you are. J.D. Sack Daniels and Mahomes, he's about to break out. Hey, just in time, it's only been 4 fucking years. You know what's funny about Twiz's take there? Hey, Twiz, when Jalen Carter stepped on the field, you went, that guy's a motherfucker. When Jordan Davis stepped on the field, I thought he just left White Castle. I mean, there's certain dudes that all you have to do is use your eyeball test. Yeah, that guy's good. That guy can play. And there's certain dudes you go, well, I mean, what are we waiting for here? Hey, Jordan Davis' first couple of years was Mr. Krispy Kreme. Last year, I thought, again, from the New York game on, I thought he played a lot better, man. I was encouraged with the way that he played. I was encouraged. Give him kudos for that. I thought he had a good playoff. Okay? I did. But this is an easier rebuild for Howie. The only thing that was going to play a factor right now was that it was going to be expensive. Okay? Get this. Here. Bad DC in 23. Howie hired him. Was a failure hire. Okay. Howie hired the wrong teacher for his students. That's on Roseman. As it is on Roseman, you hired the right teacher in Vic Fangio. Yes. Well, hey, don't blame the DC. Blame the guy who hired him. Like I said, when you're looking at Howie, though, you can't look at just 1 year. You got to look at the last 4. It's been highly successful. 4 playoff appearances, 2 NFC titles, and a Super Bowl win. I don't know. You can't shit on that. I don't care. Hey, 23 is a talking point. It's not an indictment. It's a talking point on what they did good and then what they turned around and what they did bad. Okay? Trotter's going to work on tackling. If they resign Davis, he's got to learn to get off blocks. Milton Williams put on a clinic when he was in. Milton Williams, also Machiavelli, in my opinion, showed the versatility that he has. And Moro Jomo, I don't know, has that. I'm not saying I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. On this particular day, March 6th, if he can or he can't. He was awfully productive himself. He was. Played actually more reps than what Jordan Davis did because of his versatility himself. But I will say one more time to you here. You're going to lose a little bit of production because Milton Williams, he's getting paid for his ability to play in a 7 technique, a 5 technique, and a 3 technique. He outplayed Jordan Davis the last 3 years. That's a fact. He's been a better ball player. Nobody would say otherwise. Get this. You can make the argument that he's developed better over the last 3 years than Jordan Davis did. He has. By the way, I mean, just use your eyeball test on this. He's developed better. Okay. I want to go over the last 3 days here. I want to show you what he's doing and others aren't. The rest of the league are following how he's leading. There's certain guys in the world today, like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates. These are people that are ahead of the trends. When they were developing revolutionary ways in communications, transportation, social media, there's just guys that see down the road and have a propensity to be able to be 4 steps ahead of you. I've heard Howie say this: if you're thinking about it now, we're late. I've got to be ahead of everyone else. Steve Jobs as well. Jobs, one of my favorite innovators. These people were talking about, iPods and laptops and tablets 25 years. I had a CEO at iHeart one time. His name is Randy Michaels, and he found me in broadcasting. You know what he told me 25 years ago? People are going to be listening to radio shows off their phones. I was like, you're fucking crazy. He says the radio industry will never be the same. That was 25 years ago. Randy Michaels told me that. He ended up being spot on. That guy was a person that had vision. So Howie right now, would you not agree with me? Howie's looking right now, and what player do you think is in his mind today? Every decision that he makes has ramifications on that player next year. Do you know who that is? It's Jalen Carter. Let me tell you why. There's a reported deal that the Browns and Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam are going to put on the table. 3 years, $116 million to try to bribe Myles Garrett to stay. Myles Garrett to get that deal anywhere. He'll get that deal at a winner. You want to make him a $36 million player annually. They just gave Max Crosby 35 in Las Vegas. Jordan Davis, if he has an all-pro year, let's give him the benefit. They go to the Super Bowl again. He's a $40 million a year guy. He'll be the highest non-paid quarterback, receiver in pro football history if he continues to dominate the way he is. You know what that's going to look like? That thing's going to look like 3 years, $140 million. That's quarterback money. That's what he's looking at today. So every freaking move, hey, they got to move off of Milton Williams and Josh Sweat because of Carter. I'm good with that. Howie now, in his vision, is going to try to manipulate that. You know what his comments are right now? And again, his priority has to be, can Moro Jomo give us what we're looking for? And if not, how much of a drop-off is that going to be, Vic? He's got to be in better shape. He's got to be asked to do more. We're going to need depth at the position. Hey, let me throw this at you. 49ers just cut Hardgrave. You bring him back for depth, depending on what the price is? They officially cut Hardgrave, Javon Hardgrave, on Wednesday. Would you bring him back for depth? Blaze, appreciate you doing that, man. All good, brother. You got him. He's a pass rusher. Can give you a rotation. I would even throw this at you. Hey, how much is Joey Bosa going to cost me? I covered Joey Bosa. The problem with Joey Bosa has clearly been health. If Joey Bosa gives me a deal, I'll take Joey Bosa at 28 years old, being a rotation piece, if the price is right. There's no issue in talent. It's availability. How about this? You don't have an edge rusher right now better than him. You don't. You don't have a player better than him. Who? Do you have playing defensive end that's better than him as an edge rusher? You have nobody. Hey, how about this? Nolan Smith is not in his league. I'm not even bringing up the kid from Houston. Bosa's 10 times the player. Nolan Smith is not better than fucking Joey Bosa. Are you crazy? This guy's got half a year, and you're telling me you think he's better. For God's sakes. By the way, Bosa turns 30. I'm not asking him to be my starter because I'm going to draft a guy, I think, if everything plays out at 32. Jermani Jones played under Fangio, cut by Seattle. I wonder what Clint thinks of him. That would come down to that, Q. What Clint Hurt thinks of him. I heard he was very hard to coach. We just need someone to help Carter. That's right. Got to get those doubles off his ass. And you got to make another focal point across that line. You got one in Bond. Hey, when I come to the line of scrimmage and I'm a quarterback, there's only two dudes I give a shit about. Bond, Carter. Rest of them are dudes. Very good dudes. But those two guys, look, I'll tell you what offensive coordinators do. They circle certain dudes. Like back in my day, when LT or Reggie, you circled their numbers. And if you happen to be great like those two, you put their name on the board and not their numbers. Hit the like button, guys. We appreciate you. All supers go to the top. That's right. Think about this. That's a great take. That's a great take. I think that here, how about this one? I see someone in here said this. Barkley was hurt all the time, too, when he was in New York, especially the last 4 years. Bosa's been hurt the last 3 years. So was Barkley. He's a year older, year and a half older. Year and a half older. Okay? So before you start saying that, you're making it sound like Saquon Barkley had some sort of history, health clean years up in New York. He never did. Barkley didn't have the O-line. That's not the point. The point is he was hurt in New York. That's not the point. Bosa with Vic Fangio. I'd like to see that. So let me put this D-line together here for you. Nolan Smith. Carter. Davis. Ojamo. And Joey Bosa. Dean and Bond. You got better. And you draft a kid out here. That's an edge. And you got Hunt. And if you want more luxury, you bring back Brandon Graham. So you would have depth, talent, and youth if you do that move. All of that right there is all the boxes. Bosa, talent. Draft, youth. Hunt, future. BG. The leadership that Xander talked about in the locker room yesterday. Sills, these dudes want to bring this dude back when he threw banana pudding all over the team. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, about that argument between Gardner Johnson, I think it's a shitty comment by Slay trying to make sure he's trying to show you his value. That's how I take that fucked up comment by Slay. I'm telling you, you need me in the huddle. He's basically telling you and in your locker room so that you can have the leadership that I gave you. Gardner Johnson turns around and says, how'd 23 go without me? You were lost. Where was your leadership then? That's how I read that. And I happen to, believe it or not, I'm on Gardner Johnson's side with this. How did 23 go? Slay was no fucking leader in 23. That guy's got a proven resume in Philadelphia. I'm talking Gardner Johnson. Trade Bryce up for Miami Marlins tickets. Bosa to a 2-year deal. I like that. Be the Chris Long. Exactly, handsome. Exactly. Bosa would be easier to get also for a Super Bowl run. Hey, if you're Joey Bosa, dude, you want to be on a contender to win a Super Bowl. You're at the back end. Hey, you know where you are right now? You're on the back 9. You want to get that ring and you want to put that next. He's got over 70 sacks. Joey Bosa, Jalen Carter, Jonathan Allen, Nolan Smith. Does that get you to Levi Stadium? Shit, dude. That gets you to Orlando with the Pro Bowl. That's how good that looks. I wouldn't have a problem. And by the way, you're protected too. Bosa's health, don't give him the fucking reps. Put him in third down. Draft the edge. By the way, I wrote down my favorite edges. My top 10 edges post-combines. Bosa's an old fart. He's 28. They just gave a fucking guy in Las Vegas who's 28 years old, $35 million annually. Is he too old? Hey, by the way, the guys we're talking about here, you don't have anybody on your team with that talent. Remember, Joey Bosa's released not because he sucks. Joey Bosa is the Dallas Goedert of edges. Whatever you think of Dallas Goedert. I happen to think he's a good player. Chase Young is too expensive and not as productive. Get this. People are, I see somebody in here saying that Bosa dropped off. It didn't drop off. His game's dropped off. I'll show you why that makes no sense. when it comes to Bosa. I saw something here, and I said this again, like I said, this is all about price when it comes to Joey Bosa here. Remember, this is about money. And somebody in here just said, well, he fell. Okay, well, I don't know about you. When healthy, he had 9 starts. He had 5 sacks. Year before that, he had five starts. He had 6.5 sacks. We're not talking about a guy when he's not healthy, is not productive. That's what I'm telling you here. You might get this guy on a cheap nickel. So is Dallas Goedert always hurt. By the way, I'm bringing him in because I need pass rushing help. He's not my future. I told you just now what I'm doing. I'm being Bosa in. I'm bringing him for the 2024 season, maybe 25. I don't know. Hey, by the way, always hurt. So was Barkley. Saquon Barkley was always hurt in New York. Same title on him. 2 of the last 4 years in New York, Barkley had a knee injury. He was always injured. Always. That's a fact. Okay? That's the point I'm making about him. All right? Hey, by the way, let's see this here. I see M. Reyes. Let's see if he's right. And how many years Barkley has played injury-free in a row. Since you want to take a shit on Bosa, let's take a look at here at Barkley. If he's ever played 2 years in a row in the last 4. This year, last year he missed 3 games, not awful. The last 3 years have been pretty decent. 295, 247, 345 this year. 2 previous, 162 carries, 19 carries. So really, if you think about it, there's only been a span of 2 years in a row in 21. Then he got hurt again in 23 when he only had 962. Again, it's a shitty Giants team. Got to put that in perspective too. By the way, that's shitty. I'm not talking about Saquon Barkley here. I'm talking about edge rushing. This fucking thing got sideways because somebody can't follow the lure like M. Reyes. Stay with me in the pond, guy. Throwing a lure out here. We're talking fucking edge. Not talking Barkley. Whatever. You're creating talent. Now, again, what the price is, he's going to clear waivers. So you're going to be able to negotiate with the guy. If I'm going to give him a contract, it's a 1-year deal. You wouldn't sign Joey Bosa for 1 year, $6 million. There's nobody on the market right now that you could sign for that price with that talent. Nobody. Seals, is it a gamble? Shit, Zach Bond was a gamble. Micaiah Becton was a gamble. Micaiah Becton was a turd in New York. He was a turd. And by the way, I see people saying he wants to stay on the West Coast. He's from fucking Florida. Get this. Somebody in here goes like this. Eagles will never do that. Why? You went after that guy in Chicago and gave up a 4 for him. You have done it. Robert Quinn. What, did that forget? Oh, I know. You're on the parade float still with Howie. You forgot Robert Quinn? He did do that. He gave up a 4th for him. Oh, you forgot that, right? I'm sure you did. Howie would never do that. He did it. He did do it. I'm going by the guy's track record. Last 4 years from what I've seen. Dude, this guy is doing, and it's easier for him to plug guys like Bosa in. Stills. Bosa's talent, again, it's health. Okay? Bosa, draft, Jalen Hunt, and Brandon Graham. You want to bring Brandon back if he can, if he wants to. Ask Chris Spielman what he thinks of Joey Bosa, great talented player. I covered him for 5 years. He's an exceptionally talented kid. Not a bad guy. Okay? He's not. He's an introvert. He's not a shit talker. The brother is up in San Francisco. He's kind of more of a quiet guy. He's the older one. I know him. I know the father, John. I know this guy. You don't have a football player in your huddle right now better than him as an edge rusher. You don't. He's not being cut because he stinks. It's money. It's the poor Spanos family. We don't like to talk about Robert Quinney. Robert Quinney Poe. Yeah, the father was a first-round pick out of BC. I know him very well. I know the family very well. Bosa's 72 sacks are not overrated. As a matter of fact, Joey Bosa has more sacks in his career than Brandon Graham does. He's played less time. I don't know. Brandon Graham's got what, 51 sacks? This guy's got 72. Bosa's not getting cut because of production. That's untrue. By the way, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't be shocked if he lands with the Raiders. You know why? We've had Tom Telesco on this program. He was the general manager who drafted him. We know both men very well. One of them has been on the program. This was a money move. Don't let anybody in here tell you about production. It's money and health. Plain and simple. It's not talent. Like I said, you have no one on your roster right now like him. And I think he'd be cheap. Cheap and productive. I think that's what Howie looks for. And by the way, I'm not putting my eggs in one basket with Joey Bosa. I showed you what we're doing here. Bosa, draft an edge, Jalen Hunt, and if Brandon Graham can, you have leadership, future with your draft pick, and today with Bosa. And all of that doesn't cost you any money. Bosa's not going to cost you more than $6 million. Draft pick's going to be what? $1.6 million rookie deal? Jalen Hunt's under a contract already. I doubt he's even making $1 million. Brandon Graham, $2 million? That whole thing could cost you $8 million for 4 players. Created depth, present, and future. Isn't that what that guy does? And if you want to bring some veteran leadership back and a guy who knows the room, add Hargrave to your tackle rotation. Then you would have Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Mauro Jomo, and Booker and Hargrave. You got better big. You have a shot to put a better roster of players together this offseason than you had in your Super Bowl year. Big Rhythm. Guys, give me a total on the likes. Please hit the like button. Says I like the talent. My only real problem with Bose is mentally can't handle the fan base holding him accountable. There's a video of him showing that with his fan base. Isn't that a factor? BG has 76 sacks. Okay. Bose has 72. I think he's played in I think he's played 9 years. I think. I'm talking Bose. He's got 72. Okay, I thought he was in the 50s. Thank you. Let me get to that fan base one here. He could be a little bit edgy. But remember something, man. You're not bringing him in here to be a starter. Wanted to say thanks to you and Xander. You keep me up to date on the Birds here in Liverpool. That's awesome, dude. Birds fan since T.O. It's got me hooked. Hey, by the way, Connor, the place that the Beatles played at in Liverpool follows me on my Twitter at Dan Sileo Show. What is it called? Like the Cavern? Isn't that crazy? They follow me on Twitter. Yeah. And so I don't know why, but they do. That's a great line, and I believe this line more than anything else. You don't win championships with choir boys. That's fucking so true. You think you're going to get a bunch of choir boys to win a championship, you ain't going to do it. That's why I don't really mind that bitching too much between Gardner Johnson and Slay. I think Slay's off base here with this, though. You know why? Gardner Johnson could be the biggest shit talker on the planet. He's been a Philadelphia Eagle 2 years. In those 2 years, you were in the Super Bowl. And Slay's leadership last year was 0. Shit, I think he took a fucking knee because he didn't like the fact that Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator. And I think he got that knee scope during the year a year ago because he was pouting about that fucking coordinator. You want me to tell you how I feel about that? I think he took a knee. And I think he quit on them guys because he didn't like the way that Matt Patricia was running the defense. Not that he was wrong. Not that he was wrong. But, bro, you go down with the ship, dude. This ain't about you, remember? And that's that bullshit. Hey, I'm playing good. They suck. Hey, guy. What was that leadership? He's a damn good player, Slay. Questionable in how his approach is. By the way, stop fucking going on Dallas Cowboy podcast and sucking them off and sitting there doing this. Hey, man, hey, I'm the leader of the Eagles. And, you're like, come on, man. Don't go over there. I hate that fraternizing. Excuse me, Aunt Betty. I apologize. I'll get killed for that. So I apologize. Hey, Big Sills, in 22, you had the balls and the foresight to say the Eagles will be in the Super Bowl with the way you feel about Howie. Will you take that again? Let me get through free agency. Let me get through free agency and the draft. Let's see what happens in April. Okay, let's see how this whole thing changes out here. I think you're in a way better shape than you were a couple of years ago. Sills crashing on Slay? Dude, I'm just crashing on his resume and who he is as a man outside. I mean, dude, if you had a problem with Gardner Johnson, go tell him in his face, not on a Micah Parsons podcast. The enemy? Why in the world would I go on the enemy's podcast and talk shit on a teammate with the impression that Gardner Johnson's not a good leader and you need me in the huddle in 25 so that you can have proper leadership? Come on, man. That's self-worth kind of shit. He's a good player. His bedside manner stinks. You know it, and I know it. Both talk way too much. She's probably more right than anyone. Joey's really talented. I only question his health. Completely true. And hey, dude, sometimes he's a mental crybaby like that. I like the kid, though. Banana pudding is cooking in this city. These fanboys stay meat riding this dude. Ah, come on now, bro. I love you, Pump. Hit the like button, guys. Give me a total on that like list here, man. By the way, don't forget, Merrill Reese will join us at 3:30, and we will have Angelo Cataldi with us. That'll be at 5:30. Xander's going to hit up with us here at 4:30, so we will talk to him then as well. Appreciate you guys very much, man. Man. I got one of the radio stations right now in Philadelphia upset with me. Actually, no disrespect to anybody, but I thought they turned 97.5 into smooth jazz. I'm surprised they're still on the air. Not to punch down, Joe Krauss, but yeah, I thought it was smooth jazz. That thing was flipped 3 years ago. Or easy listening jazz. Miles Davis. I don't know. Hey, Heath, of course they are. You know what they wanted me to do? I won't name his name because it's not worth it. They wanted me to rat on Xander and Joe Krauss and make lies up about him. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I have never had a fucking problem in my entire 4 years with JAKIB Sports. Hey, we don't get a hit. Well, that ain't my problem, man. Sign Jonathan Allen. A trade for Yair Alexander. Bible? Why? Okay. Hey, yeah. I got an actual, hey, I hear Mike called me names. Well, I'll tell you what Mike did. Mike Missinelli called me and wanted me and told me, he goes, hey, I could use you in court to go after the Krausses. I was like, you got the wrong guy. I still got the text messages. So if I'm a racist and he was reaching out to me, why is he asking me to go to a courthouse with him to testify against Joe? Huh. That's why I stay out of that shit. Yeah. Why would somebody call Big Sills? The only people I want to hear from are Xander and Joe. I want to hear from host. You know what they did? I don't care. They treat me great. How you doing? You will never in a million years get me to talk shit on them. Ever. You know how many people in this business I talk shit on? 99.99999. He's a bad guy. He's a racist. He's mean. I mean, one of my friends that would say that. And you ain't my friend, Mike. You never were. These people act like I'm your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm Xander's friend. Here, I'll tell you. I'm Xander's friend. I'm Joe Krauss's friend. In Philly, I'm Angelo Cataldi's friend. John McMullen's friend. Anyone else? Pound rocks. Thoughts on adding J.K. Dobbins or Javonte Williams for his running back 2 on a cheap deal? Could be underrated move. Oh, and talking about running back 2. They need a running back 2. They do. I talk shit on Sills daily, but I see people talking shit outside of JAKIB. That's why you're family, Twiz. Twiz. We're going to talk shit on each other in here. Anybody talk shit on you? I'd come off the top rope for you too, brother. Swear on that. I would. Cook that. That was good. Yeah, I know. I think Mike Missinelli needs one of those fucking signs you saw in the chamber the other night. Big bad Sills. Who? Hey, see, I'm not very good at being subtle. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Say, hey, are you concerned? Get this here. Hang on. Sills is not normal. Hey, M. Reyes, congratulations. What an epiphany. Hey, Xander, this guy's really making a leap. Sileo's not normal. Hey, I work in broadcasting, dude. What would make you ever think that? And I was an athlete. Where in the world would you think I was normal? Normal. I was Sills back. JAKIB wouldn't be the same without. Hey, man, I think we're all in this, all rowing in the same direction here, man. It's all good. Hey, and by the way, if instead of being like a little cowardly lion that missing nobody is, by the way, after listening to the guy, he stinks. Angelo's great. Diddy's great. Some of the other dudes are not bad over there at IP. That guy stinks. Anthony ain't that good. Holy cow, don't let me go, man. It ain't that hard. Just tune it on. I implore you to go listen because you'll be back in 2 minutes. And, let me get back to this. That's fun shit, though. I got to tell you. Oh, really? Well, here, this is what Xander and Joe did for him. The guy used to have to pay to work for those dudes. So you know. And they gave him his chance. It's all right. Most people are going to be ungrateful. Hey, they're not going to say all those things. I will. Because I'm not paid to say them. I just do it. Now you guys know why the industry gets mad at me. Because I don't hold back. Never have, never will. Bill Colarulo used to pay to be on JAKIB. They begged him. And they did it. And they saw something in him. And they gave him an avenue. He's not over there at that other place. If it's not for JAKIB, he's ungrateful. It's all right. That's par for the course. It's okay. You guys gave him his start. That's okay. There's 9 billion dudes like that in that business that do that. Okay? It's correct. Correct. I would say this to you. Bill could say whatever he wants about me. He's a fucking traitor. You're right. You're right. Let's do that. I agree with you. I agree with you. All right. So you have no problem. Hey, I would bring back both guys, Slay and Gardner Johnson. Okay? I would bring back Slay and, hey, don't you like that little attitude? Don't you like that little attitude that you have your corner and your safety talking shit about leadership, if I'm Vic Fangio, I do this. Woo. Ooh, a little hot in here now. Let's put that back on the field again. That makes it kind of like a little bit of synergy between the two dudes. I'm all right with a little bit of synergy. Hey, you know what? You want everybody on their toes right now because you don't want anybody doing what Xander does, sit around all day long on the parade float. He does it. I'm teasing him. I love him. You know that. Hey. Oh, oh man. See, he still got the power over me, though. Remember that guy. It makes it cool. Okay. I think. Oh man. Dang, man. That molasses. It's kind of stuck in molasses now. I like this stuff that you got going on here with Slay. Hey, man, you need me? I'm a leader. No, who the hell are you? Get him in the room. Now, CJ, what's your problem? Sorry, I had to post that. Anyway. Excuse me. Sorry, I get easily distracted, as you could tell. I'd look it over at Slay and go, what's your problem? You two men, can we hug it out and kiss here? Can we make all this okay? All right? Can we make this little, better? All right? Always, my friend. I try to do the best at that. That's why we've had a monster week because of you. Okay. Yeah. By the way, please, guys, hit the like button here. Merrill Reese is going to join us at the bottom of the hour, 3:30 Eastern time. And then Xander's going to join us at 4:30. And we will have Angelo Cataldi at 5:30. Slay's always got BS to say, Got it. Get this too, man. Okay, so young Joe has talked so much shit on me. But you know what we end up doing? Our community, and he's here every day. Way to go, man, because we're looking for what's coming this year. And I do think you guys right now. Somebody asked the question, Sills, do you, and are you ready to say that this team is going to win another Super Bowl? And what the moves are made. He's making Super Bowl championship moves right now. Everything that Howie Roseman is doing right now is championship Super Bowl movement. Everything that he's doing right now is championship moves. There hasn't been a bad move yet. I do agree with you what Slay said about the elite quarterbacks in the league. I won't elaborate any further. Look at Pump trying to stir it up. Are you saying Hurts ain't elite? Is that what you're trying to do? Okay. Is that what you're doing? Okay. Hey, that's a great call. Heath brings it up great. OC's the only questionable move. It is a questionable move. Okay. Because you know why? Again, Heath, it's not that we're saying here, I don't think you are. It's I don't know what it is. I know the Barkley extension is a good thing. You reward the player, you create cap space. Cutting Slay's salary, creating more space for younger players, bringing them back. Nothing wrong there. Getting rid of Bradbury finally, and then signing Bond. Name me a bad move. And if you think about it, the Kevin Patullo deal kind of makes chronological sense because you want to have continuity in the building. Okay? You want to have that continuity. Here's what Mark Holmes said on my Twitter. I'm surprised he's still alive. I thought he'd be an alcoholic by now. You'd know if you weren't scared to have me on. Why would I want the Cowboys on? Why would I want to be depressed and talk Cowboys football? Oh, here's another year of dumb shit. Here's what I would do if I was covering the Cowboys. I wouldn't know what to say because you know why? It wouldn't matter. Hey, who should they draft? Who cares? Who's the coach? Who cares? Who should they go after in free agency? Who cares? Nothing results in anything. I have never in my life seen a football team like the Dallas Cowboys that absolutely have no substance to anything they do. There's no result. Get this. Let me give you hits and misses. That whole contract bullshit with Hassan Reddick and the Eagles, I know the Jets, they screwed it up too. That sucked. The signing of Huff sucked. Okay. There's questions there for that. The signing of Bond. The resurrecting of Becton. In theory, the resurrecting of Barkley. Dude, at least there's swings and massive hits and some misses. The Cowboys have all misses. Nothing they do results in any kind of true context of winning. Nothing. What do you think of our new quarterback coach? I heard he has years of play call. He has no years of play calling. Oh, quarterback coach. Yes. The kid from Bowling Green. Actually, he's a great hire. He worked with Tebow and he worked with Brady. He worked with Tebow at Florida and he worked with Brian Griese and Tom Brady at Michigan. Yes. It's all love, Sills. This is still the best show. Thank you so much. Young Joe, we appreciate you, man. Get this here too, man. It's Jerry Jones's fault. He only wants to sell tickets. I just think he wants to be relevant. RC3. I don't really think it is about. I don't think it's anything about selling tickets, merchandise. Cowboys do a great job of that anyway. Always have. Even under Tex Schramm. I think he wants to be relevant. Yeah, I'm trying to pimp that here. I would take him as a rotational piece. I absolutely would. I would. Hi, Dallas. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Hey, Howie missed on Huff. Landed on Zach Bond. Okay, well, I'll take that. I won the Super Bowl. I had 2 huge misses in contracts the last 3 years, and I still won the Super Bowl and been to 2 of them. What's Dallas done? What's Dallas done? Hey, get this. What? The Bradbury sign sucked. The Huff sign sucked. Been to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years and won a Super Bowl. What's Dallas done in that time? Fired a coach. Restructured contracts of guys who are good players, but not the right players. Dallas needs to find, get this. So Dallas has the best pass rusher, and they're going to give him $38 million probably. Michael Parsons, right? Has no bearing on winning. You know why? Your linebackers blow. Your defensive tackles blow. You missed on Lazy Smith. And your corners are overrated. And you don't have anybody in the building that understands the cap. Bengals Trey Hendrickson seeks a trade. Yeah, I would too after the Max Crosby deal. 3 years, 106. Yeah, I would too. Yeah, I'd be looking for a trade. Get out of Cincinnati. There's a zipper on the wallets. You know them Velcro zippers that you used to have as a kid? Well, that's what Mike Brown carries around with him. How does Prescott reason they're closer than the Eagles? Because he's stupid. How do you cover Cowboys Media 101? Just install What If. The Dallas Kardashians. Hot in the offseason. Hey, I would like to accept my trophy for being the number one team in the offseason. Cowboys consistently win it. We shine our light on everybody. Would you take Hendrickson if you don't get Garrett? No. I'll stick with my dudes. Get Bosa, draft the edge. I'll go there. No. He's a good player. Shit, Fred Johnson shut his ass down. Am I wrong? Did Fred Johnson shut him down? Fred Johnson shut down that guy. You know, okay, hey, let's trade a 1 and a 2 for him. I saw Fred Johnson, our backup, OT shut him down. I don't know. You want to give a 1-up for that? No, Fred. I love Fred. And Fred shut him down. You want to trade a 1 for him? Then what's Fred worth? How he misses on Bradbury, Huff, Devin White. Hits on Barkley, Paul, Becton, and Burke. Okay, it's a win. How you doing, Dallas? That's exactly correct. Merrill Reese is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Yes. Are they really still talking about Big Sills? That's no shocker. Everyone does. Everyone from Jay Tapper to Bill Calarulo. Wow. That's a big one there. Everyone from Jake Tapper to Bill Calarulo. Okay, I mean, that's really wild. Nick, with all due respect, Big Sills, I'm not Cowboy fan. I'm an Eagle fan, but I think Jerry Jones understands the cap. This is the same guy that won 3 Super Bowls and signed Deion Sanders. Hey, Nick, you really think that Jerry Jones had anything to do with that Super Bowl team? If he was so good at it, why didn't he do it again? The Eagles have. They've gone to Super Bowls, I mean, in different decades. 2004, 17, 22, 24. How come the Cowboys haven't been back in 30 years? 30 years they haven't been back. Let me guess. There was one guy there for 5 years that built this team in the first couple of years. His name was Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson. If Jerry's so good at building teams, why hasn't he been back to an NFC championship in 30 years? If he's so good. I always said, if they're talking shit about you, you must be doing something right. Keep the energy, Sills. Thank you, Gabe. Gabe, they've been talking shit on me for 30-some years, 36 years in this business. Big Bad Chills. He's the Philly bad guy. I'm like, Big Sill Scarfo. That's a good name. I like it. You know what we should start calling this? The Sileo family. Make him an offer he can't refuse. This is the Sileo family. Yeah. Cannolis, South Philly, Paisans, Gabagool, Pizza Frite. I mean, Mike Missinelli's not Italian. That guy eats Chef Boyardee. He thinks Chef Boyardee is Italian. Hit the like button, man. I appreciate you guys. Having a little fun. It's the off season. Give me a break. Italian hot dogs. Yeah. Hey, remember something, bro. I'm going to give you a little lesson my grandfather told me years ago. My aunt's ears are going to blow up right now. Okay? We don't need assholes and lips in this house. My grandfather don't eat hot dogs, and I never ate hot dogs, and I'm not eating hot dogs either. We don't eat hot dogs. Hey, Maniac, we don't eat hot dogs, man. I mean, that ain't happening, my good friend. Okay. That ain't working. Oh, man. Eagles may sign Bose just because he's Italian. I mean, look, they got every paisan in the building. And by the way, I should stop hating on Sirianni. I'm getting questions from people down in Soho and Little Italy, all over the country, Chicago, San Diego, and Philly, and New York. Hey, what are you shitting on the paisan for? When do you ever hear Italian hating on Italian? I know the crime. He's a Northern Italian, though. This guy's a white sauce guy. I'm more of a red sauce guy. Pasta Bazool. Grandma loved it, man. God rest your soul today, Grandma. Hit the like button, guys. We appreciate you guys, man. Give me a total on the likes. By the way, our friend Merrill Reese is going to join us here in a couple minutes here. Hot dog, potatoes, and some bread. That sounds pretty good. Don't talk about my dog. I see you over there, Daniel. Hey, Sills, Joey Bose is going to take a pay cut to join the Eagles. This chat is comedy. Thank you very much, Brian. You got 161? That's not bad. Let's get that baby up there, man. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, Mike Missinelli thinks Chef Boyardee and yeah. Chef Boyardee raviolis is Italian food or whatever. I don't know. Never seen a guy cry more. Silvio, please. Oh, man. All right, I'm going to give you guys a prediction on where Howie goes with his picks. I got these picks down here. First round, 32. Second round is number 64. Third is number 96. Fourth is 128. Then, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you got a fifth rounder from Houston, from Washington, and then your own fifth round pick, right? Is that correct? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the comp picks haven't come in now, right? All right. Here's my prediction. Oh, shit. Hey, Xander, we might want to flag the tape here. This is the first prediction for 2025 for Big Sills and the Eagles. Okay? Here is prediction number 1. This is the first of the year. I will admit, 2024 was a little rough for Big Sills in my 36 years broadcasting. Okay? 2024 may have been the roughest. Okay, and I agree, and I conceded. Here's my takes. Now, look, I don't know the names. I'm not going to put a name here yet. Okay, here we go. First round pick, if they don't trade for anybody. Okay? They don't trade. I've got an edge rusher in the first round at number 32. In the second round, pick 64. I got a tight end. Arroyo, the kid from Miami, that kid Fanning. I like that kid Fanning from Bowling Green a lot. Okay? I like that kid a lot. I got tight end in the second round here. And you guys, by the way, and you guys have picked a tight end in the second round when you guys went and got Goddard. You've picked the second rounder. Okay? Man, got a bunch of people little baby face right now. Hendrickson's going to get out of Cincinnati. What about him? I'm not giving up my guys and my draft picks for him. He's not that enticing to me. What was his run defense last year? 28th? What impact did he have on that team? Nothing. Why would I rip up my young group, my young talented guys who all are developing to go get that guy? That doesn't move the needle for me. You guys have drafted Zach Ertz in the second and Dallas Goedert in the second. So I'm going edge tight end. You guys are like, Trey Hendrickson, he wants out. Well, good luck to you. I'm a Super Bowl champ with what I have. I need an edge rusher. Yeah, well, I'm not giving up my future for him. No, thank you. I saw Fred Johnson shut him down for 4 quarters. Fred Johnson. I get Fred's a good player. Jordan Mailata would have annihilated him. I don't see it. I told you this. If I was ever in a million years going to rip up my game plan where I'm at now, it would be for Myles Garrett, not Trey Hendrickson. He don't move the needle for me. Sills, he's a really good player. Fred is good, Sills. I know. He's still a backup. In the third round. So I got edge tight end. Your third round, I think it's pick 96. I'm going linebacker. I want more depth there. I want some depth. I don't know what Dean is going to do. I don't know if he can stay healthy. He never has. He has never finished a year healthy. Okay, I mean, is trading some of our old line depth worth anything for someone like Myles, especially if Browns draft a quarterback? Tyler Steen probably has value. And maybe Trevor Keegan, because it's that neck of the woods there in Ohio. And you got Ohio State, Michigan, and all that shit. That might mean something to them. And I think he's a good player. By the way, we're efforting our friend Merrill Reese here at the bottom of the hour here. We're looking forward to talking to our friend. Fourth round. Number pick 128. I think that's from Detroit, if I remember right. I would take an OT. So, first round, edge. Second, tight end. Third, linebacker. Fourth, OT. My fifth round from Houston. I'm going to go safety here. My other fifth rounder, I'm going to go guard. Or center. And my last fifth rounder, I'll go DT. So here would be my draft picks. First round edge, second round tight end, third round linebacker, fourth round OT, my first fifth, a safety, my other fifth, a guard or center, and my last one, a DT. I see people talking running back. I don't think you're wrong. If I were going to pick a running back, I don't think this group's very good. I just don't think they're very good. I mean, I don't really think it's deep. And so nobody really jumped off the sheet to me where I'm sitting there going, where would I take? Would I waste a second or third on a back? No. Would I put a fourth rounder there? No. I might just sign a free agent running back and get one of those guys in free agent to be the UDFA. That's what I would do. Right? I would just do UDFA. Because I'd wait for free agency to get that guy. Because I think you could probably find yourself a free agent running back or in case somebody gets cut. Hit the like button, guys. Do me a favor. Please give me a total on where we are in our Scatterboo has not been really received well when he came to the combines. And when you watch his tape and him at Arizona State, I think he's a really good college back. I think he's a really good back. I really do. I think the guy can play. To what level? I don't know where he's going to get drafted, but I do not believe it's going to be in the top 3 rounds. So if he's available, like I said, too, you got to remember something about the draft. As the more this goes down, then it's going to be best player available. If you're sitting at the first, 5th round pick and he's there, you're probably going to draft him. Okay? You're probably going to take him there. If he, 4th, I don't know. Now, again, I don't know where that 128 is going to be. I think in the middle of the 4th. That's kind of high. I don't think he's a top player. Don't we have Davis Price and Lou Michaels? Both would be good 3rd string backs. Who? Eagles. Jordan Mailata or Trent Williams. Today? Trent Williams is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But today, let me just say this to you. Okay. And hey, Eagle GOAT, I would not trade Jordan Mailata for anybody, including Myles Garrett. If Cleveland came to me and said, I want a 1 Mailata, I'd be like, no. No, I'm not doing that. I mean, I would trade Lane Johnson before I would trade Jordan Mailata. And I wouldn't trade Lane. I mean, that guy is so close to being untradeable. Jordan Mailata, I mean, I'm not you don't have a lot of things to offer me that makes me ever want to be in that conversation where I would put Jordan Mailata in a trade. Let me say this to you right now. Trent Williams is 39 years old. He's a great ball player. Trent Williams is as close as being untradeable of a player as there is anybody in the league right now. Just so you know how good he is. And what a steal that was when you're talking about a 7th round pick. Okay? I mean, he is a sensational football player. Make no mistake about it. By the way, do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Angelo Cataldi is going to join us at 5:30. Xander's going to join us at 4:30. And I don't know, man. I mean, oh, by the way, Jeff Fisher was on, and I'm going to start this interview with Merrill Reese on this. And I think he's going to be shocked. Before we get into all the great work that Howie's been doing the last 3 days, let's bring our friend in, Merrill Reese. the legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. Merrill, how you doing, friend?
Can you hear me?
I got you, Merrill. How you doing, my friend?
Can you hear me?
I got you, Merrill. How you doing?
I'm great.
Merrill,
Great. Yes.
I want to start this off with you. We had on Jeff Fisher 2 days ago, and I asked him, before we get into the work that Howie's been doing the last couple of days, it's been remarkable and Hall of Fame-ish. I asked Jeff Fisher, who was the D coordinator of Gang Green, if Gang Green was a better defense than the 1985 Bears. He was on that 85 Bear team. He worked with Buddy on that team. And he worked, obviously, and was a coordinator, first DB coach, I think he was. Then he was the coordinator in Philadelphia for that Gang Green team. He picked the Gang Green defense as being a better defensive unit than the 1985 Chicago Bears. And I'm going to forward that to you right now, what you saw in 24 with this defense and what they did in the Super Bowl. Do you think that defense that you saw this past season is the greatest defense in Eagle history? Or is it still that group that was back in the late 90s and late 80s and early 90s?
I saw them all, and it's very, very difficult for me to evaluate, to take one defense against another defense. They were both great. The best defense, I guess, that I saw was Bud Carson's defense, where they were number one against the run, number one against the pass, number one overall, statistically. But players change, the games change so much. Now, I can say that this Eagles team is the greatest team in modern Eagles history, from top to bottom. There's not a weak spot on the entire roster. This is the best team in modern history. I don't go back to the 40s or to the 1960s because it's unfair. You're talking about people of different sizes. You're talking about a game that's totally different. So I'd say in modern history, this is the best Eagles team. As far as those defenses are concerned, they were great. They were great. But this one was also great. It was a great defense. So it's, Vic Fangio has done an amazing job. Jeff Fisher was a great coach. Bud Carson, a great coach. Buddy Ryan, a great defensive coach. You talk about Jim Johnson, a great defensive coach. So you're talking about greatness, but being able to say that one was better or this one was better, I couldn't do it.
Do you think the bringing back of Zach Bond, and would you say this, that Zach Bond probably put the best season together that you've seen since Seth Joyner, that you've seen anybody play? Trotter was great, obviously. You've had guys in that linebacker position over the last 28 years or what have you. But I got to say, Merrill, his impact on that team, and not only his impact on the team, but the impact on the results of the wins. That's why he got that new contract, Merrill, is because, even though it's a 1-year issue with him and you're not sure if it's going to be a Bradbury kind of deal. Remember, the thing with Bradbury, Merrill, he had a Pro Bowl all-pro season. Then you gave him a 3-year deal and he fell off the planet. Obviously, and I'm with you, I don't feel that way here either. I think he's going to be a really good ball player. I don't know if he'll have the same kind of year, but his impact has been immense. And just, again, your takeaway and him being brought back and his impact on the team that he had this past season and moving forward.
Enormous impact. A great guy, by the way. Just a great guy off the field, as down to earth and as nice to everybody as anybody you ever wanted to be around. He's terrific. But I would also add another name to that success. And I think I know that Zach would add the same name, and that is Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio was the one who said, hey, this isn't an edge rusher. He could be, but this guy is going to fit as a linebacker, as an inside linebacker. And he placed them there, and he did such a magnificent job of constructing this entire defense. It's right up there with the best I've seen.
How about this, too? And I don't think a guy gets enough plug for what he did for Zach Bond and the Kobe Dean is Bobby King. I mean, would you not agree, Merrill, that, maybe some of the missteps they had in 23, and you hear Nick talking about them all the time. We learned a lot from 23, what not to do in 24. And one of them was to get really high-level coaches that were going to teach younger players, because when you had Oren Burks, you needed a guy to step in. No drop-off, not a lot of drop-off. There was some, but not a lot. And then the year you had with Bond, the year you had with anybody they put in that linebacking core, you can go down a list of Clint Hurt, the secondary coach.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the best staffs that they have had, too. And that really is also a credit to Vic and with Howie and everybody, Nick, and all those guys for putting that good coaching staff together.
Yeah, they did a great job. There's no doubt about it. They did a really, really good job at every position.
They did, man. Hey, the Barkley extension, were you surprised? He had 2 years remaining on his deal.
I'm only surprised because I was thinking more in terms of the obvious free agents. You wanted to see them sign Zach Bond, and you want to see them, if they can, sign Milton Williams. But we don't. That's where I'm thinking. And then all of a sudden, the Barkley thing came about, and I said, "Great," but I wasn't thinking about him because we weren't worrying about losing him because he still has years on his contract. But I think it was a nice reward to say to him, "You were the best back in football this year. We appreciate you."
How about this too, Merrill? Do you not agree, covering the teams for all these years and the league for that matter, and me being a former player, this is what I say. Maybe you agree or you disagree here with it. If I'm sitting in another city or I'm a potential free agent coming up March 12th in 6 days, and I'm watching what Roseman's doing, and I'm saying, well, wait a minute here. You're telling me that owner is going to give me a bag of money if I walk in there and produce? It hasn't Howie now made it for potential free agents to want to come and play? Maybe they take a couple million haircut because they want to come in on a one-year deal because they know they're going to turn around and they're going to reward the player like they did with Bond and Barkley. Isn't it ironic? The two guys on each side of the football, not dismissing Carter, but the two guys that were brand new to the team that made the biggest impacts that were new to the team were first-year Barkley and first-year Bond, and they were rewarded. Wouldn't you as a free agent go, I want to be part of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it starts with Jeffrey, who is a wonderful, wonderful owner, Jeffrey Lurie. I had a coach one time say to me, an assistant coach who was leaving to go to another job, he said, if I ever get a head coaching job, I only hope that I get an owner like Jeffrey Lurie, because all he says to the coaches, yes, you want this? Yes. I mean, he doesn't get involved in the X's and O's. He's not hopping down on the sideline before the game is over, telling his coach what to do or not to do. So he's a great owner, and Howie is certainly a great general manager.
Help me out here, Merrill. The first 15 years owning the team, and then the last 15 years owning the team. How is Jeffrey Lurie different in how he's managed that? Because you had Andy Reid, you had Joe Banner, you had a bunch of really smart NFL people in the building. You had one of the best coaching staffs. I mean, Jim Schwartz and John Harbaugh and all these guys were part of that. What has made that owner better in the last 15 years versus the first 15 owning the team?
That's really tough to say. I mean, it's something that he built from the beginning. Jeffrey has always been a good guy, a guy that you want to work for, nice to everybody in the building. And he's hired the right people. And when he's made a mistake here and there, he's moved on quickly and given his coaches a good chance. He's never been one and done, but when he feels it's time to move on, they've moved on. So even with Andy, Andy was a great hire, because here's a guy who was not a coordinator, but a quarterback coach in Green Bay. And he when in the interviewing process, they just said, this guy has it, and they were right. They made the right decision. And Andy was great. But at the very, very end, there were a lot of things that happened to Andy's life from a personal standpoint, and the team got old and inefficient and in certain areas. And it, it was the best thing that happened to Andy, and it was the right thing for the Eagles to say. 14 years is a long shelf life for any coach. And Andy picked it up in Kansas City and is a Hall of Fame coach. He's a Hall of Fame guy to begin with, but he's a Hall of Fame coach, one of the greatest ever. And I think the change was good for him, and it came at a time when the Eagles needed somebody new running the on the field team.
Let me then go over to Howie then. You know, I never really looked at Howie Roseman in the first. I mean, remember, Howie came from the cap side of the building, wasn't in personnel at the beginning when he first initially joined the Philadelphia Eagles in 2000. I mean, he came in on the financial side, and he came in when it was in the side of cap management, being a salary cap expert and all this and that. Then he evolved into what he has. But then again, he got removed even by that owner, and he had a reduced role. He goes and meets R.C. Slocum, the guy who ran the Spurs. He comes back, and he's been a completely different guy. Drafting, cap evaluating, these contracts, creating space. What has made him a better GM today than where he was? And I'm not saying he was, Merrill, I'm not saying he is clearly the last 4 years, though. There's 2 Super Bowls in 3 years here. The personnel is way better than it's ever been in the history of the franchise. Now, even on both sides of the ball, what's changed with him, in your opinion, since he was given that title of GM back?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, very early in his career, now he came in as kind of an intern with a law degree and was very much at the right hand of Joe Banner in seeing how the cap works and everything else. He learned that, but very early, he also moved to the personnel department in a minor role that just continued to grow. And like any of us, I hope if you're in something long enough, you get better at it. I think Nick Sirianni could tell you that he was a better coach this year than he was last year and the year before, and certainly in his first year. And you grow into these jobs, and if you're good enough, you excel. Howie obviously was smart enough and good enough. I mean, look, people talk about their own jobs, their own experiences. I feel, Dan, that I'm a much, much better broadcaster now than I was 48 years ago or even 10 years ago. I see more. When I look out of that booth, I see more things happening than I ever did before. I mean, my eyes haven't changed, my voice hasn't changed, but from being there and working at it, you reach higher levels. And I think Howie would be the first to say that he has learned more. I think he is more dependent on the advice of other people in the personnel department. He's got credibility around the league. He is a great deal manager, deal maker. I mean, I think other general managers are on guard when they're talking to Howie because he is very convincing and he makes great deals. I mean, he's a very, very smart general manager. One of the best in the National Football League, if not the best.
Well, I think he's the best right now. And, I mean,
I think Dan, look at the last few drafts alone.
Yeah.
And how can you get Quinyon Mitchell and then Cooper DeJean back to back? How can you get somebody like Jordan Davis or a couple of years ago, forget Jordan Davis, last 2 years ago, when you get somebody like Jalen Carter, and then at the end of that round, you pick up Nolan Smith, who people were thinking is a bust. And then this year he came on very, very strongly.
Yeah, I meant R.C. Buford. You're right. Thank you very much, somebody in the chat here. You bring up something that is so awesome here that if you're a young player, Merrill, I try to tell people when you come into the NFL, or just like you were mentioning with your broadcasting career, you have these on. You don't have, and you have blinders on. You're here like this as an NFL guy. You don't have peripheral vision, which means you don't see things around you better when you're younger. you see him more like through a kaleidoscope, through a lens like this. But as you gain more experience, you have more vision for things that are around you. And as you mentioned, you're more in a comfort zone because when you're in the booth, you've gone through it, you've seen it, you've made your mistakes, you've made the corrections, you've expanded your career, you expanded your talents, you understand it just being around good people. So would you agree that that's kind of what we're going at here with what you're saying is that from the first time with Joe Banner as that intern, that I forget, I think it was Tannenbaum that recommended him from the Jets to be part of the organization. He kept hounding people, sending resumes in. Finally, the Eagles hired him as an intern. Oh, over all this time, it's kind of like just spread out now. He's more of aware of his surroundings in the league surroundings, and that's what's making him a better GM.
That, and you have a much greater frame of reference. You've learned from your mistakes. You've learned as much about what not to do as you've learned what to do. You've learned over the years, and all of us make mistakes. And it's those who take those mistakes and build from them that really succeed.
Wouldn't you agree that that's kind of what we're seeing here with Nick a little? Is that Nick is starting to see the field better. He's starting to be part of that process of how he's going through. And when you're surrounded by Vic Fangio and you're surrounded by Kellen Moore, who just got a job, I don't know about you. Like we just said all the time, Merrill, hey, you got Mike Quick in the building. Mike Quick's a great color analyst. It's easy to bounce somebody off something like that when you know his likes, his strengths, his weaknesses, which he doesn't have many. And he go, if any, and you're sitting, you know everybody in the building. Don't you become better at not just being a broadcaster, but being a head coach because your surroundings, you're around talented people and you got talented people to coach?
I might have given you this quote before. I'm not somebody who likes to live in the past, but again, you talk about your frame of reference. So my frame of reference begins with Dick Vermeil. And Dick Vermeil said some of the most amazing things that continue to pop into my head at appropriate times. And one of the things that Dick Vermeil said was to be a successful head coach, you have to hire assistants who are good enough to take your job.
That's a great line. And it's funny, the great coaches, if you ever see them like Andy and the people that have been in Philly the last 5 years, look at the coaches that they put into the NFL. Every coach that Jimmy Johnson had ended up going on and becoming a head coach. North Turner, Butch Davis, Dave Wannstedt. I'm not talking about their successes, but every guy they had went on to become a coach at one time or another. So if you have to surround yourself with talented people all the time and the structure of what the Eagles have done, I mean, I made this point to you before. Since 2000, the Eagles haven't hired one coach, including Chip, who had a horrible bedside manner, who, by the way, is now the offensive coordinator again with the Raiders. Okay? I mean, so he's talented. He just doesn't have good bedside manner. But all talented people that they've hired, they land on talent. Now, what that talent does when they get in the building, that's up to them. I mean, you're either going to be a head coach somewhere or you're going to be shown the door in Philly. That's a tough spot to be in because look at the coaches who you've had. Either you're a head coach or you're shown the door. I like that pressure, actually.
Well, isn't it amazing, Dan, that Nick has only been here 4 years and his tree has already produced 3 head coaches. Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, and now, of course, the latest. We go with the way things have gone. It's absolutely amazing. So Kellen Moore, you knew was going to be a head coach, and he comes off the tree. So when a coach can have a tree in 4 years that produces 3 head coaches, you know he's doing something right.
Are you concerned about Kevin Petula never having called a play ever?
Not at all. Not at all. I know Kevin Petula very, very well, and he's extremely, extremely bright. He has been the passing game coordinator, so he has fed into that game plan, and he is very, very sharp. He'll do a great job. I think that's a great hire to have somebody like that and recognize that he's better than anybody you could have brought in. He's a great hire.
Couple last questions here. Merrill, in your opinion, with the contracts that were signed now, who had the biggest impact on that football team last year, Zach Bond or Barkley?
Barkley. I mean, Zach Bond had a great impact. There's no doubt. But Saquon Barkley completely, totally changed the offense. Completely. I mean, he put together the greatest rushing season, including playoffs, of anybody in history. Zach Bond was excellent. First team All-Pro. But what Saquon Barkley did to this team, I think Saquon Barkley, Dan, let's face it, if it weren't a quarterback game, Saquon Barkley should have been the MVP of this whole league. It should have been. It was amazing.
All right, final question for you. What was the better parade, 17 or this past year?
Well, I got closer in 18 technically to getting hit in the head with a can of beer, and this time it missed me by 5 feet, sort over my head. But there was one that unfortunately clocked Howie in the forehead. So, but from my standpoint, I survived this one better. They were equally cold. I think the fans were better at this one. I mean, the fans were less nuts, more. They were more under control. I think they appreciated this team. They gave them their just praise and adulation. But I thought they were more under control. I thought this was a great parade.
Merrill, you have to start telling Philly fans, don't you? This is not normal here. I mean, you had from 1960 until 1980, where you hadn't won a Super Bowl. You didn't win that one. You should have won it because it was a wild card team. Then you go to 2004, and, you're like, people are like, Eagle football, look at us now. And you're like, wait a minute here. It's like, this is not normal. Like, if you're 25 years old, all you know is Super Bowls and winning. If you're 40 years old or 45, you're like, holy cow, look where we are. And if you're 50, you're like, I can't believe where we are today. You're being spoiled right now in a way. It's like a spoiled decade right now for Eagle fans. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to tell you something. When people come up to me and they say, boy, they're going to come right back and win it again next year, I say, enjoy this year. My final words on the broadcast were, savor it and rejoice. And I mean that because every year is different. You never know. The team may lose a couple of free agents. They may gain some others. There are changes on the coaching staff, although not in any large scale. But every year is different. We can't sit here today on March the 6th and say who's going to get hurt next year. I've always said, if you take any team, and this team was 14-3 during the regular season, and you lose the wrong 3 or 4 people, wrong part of the season, that 14-3 could be 9-8. You just don't know. You just don't know. So enjoy it. I can tell you this. When I look at this roster, this ought to be a team that can compete for a Lombardi trophy for the foreseeable future, for the next several years. And then we'll see what happens. Ought to be right there to compete. But to say, well, they're going to come right back and win it next year. Just enjoy this year, and then let's watch next year as it unfurls.
I want to sneak one in on you. 30-second pick. If they don't move, what would you do there with that? And by the way, would you trade for Myles Garrett? Would you stick to the program that you have now? You won a Super Bowl without him. You've won the Super Bowl without Myles Garrett. I know the Eagles are one of the favorites to land him, but they need an edge rusher. I think you're losing Josh Sweat, probably Milton too. There's reports that Minnesota and New England are going to make him a $80 million plus offer like we saw with the D tackle in Dallas. And then same with Sweat. Supposedly Arizona's going to offer him north of $89 million. So, do you go edge there, or do you try to make that trade with Myles? What would you do there, Merrill? Would you stand pat, draft, or would you try to upgrade and go after the guy and make you almost invincible.
I wouldn't take yourself out of the ability to make moves. I wouldn't pay it to the point where it's going to hamper you in other regards. And as far as that 32nd pick is concerned, I wouldn't be adverse if they move off of that. I mean, they did that a couple, what was it, 7 or 8 years ago when they moved back a few picks and ended up with Dallas Goedert, rather than choosing at 32. But if there's a player that slides to 32 and you say, boy, we had him at 19 or we had him at 22 and we could really use him. See, one of the areas, when I look at the areas, the Eagles are fortunate because to me, I don't think there's a quarterback out there this year. Not
No.
that the Eagles are quarterback, but I don't think there's a quarterback out there who are as good as the first 4 or 5 taken last year.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Eagles' needs, we're talking about interior defensive linemen. We're talking about if they lose a couple of those people, and this draft is just packed with outstanding defensive tackles. And I think you always have to be prepared to pick another offensive lineman. That's if you can get a top offensive lineman, somebody you really project to be a starter one day, you might have to go in that direction. And then there's always an edge rusher. So it all depends when that 32 arrives, who's gone or who's out there. If there's nobody you're in love with, then maybe you trade back half a round for somebody for several picks that can help you. And Howie's very, very good at that. He's very, very good at that. He picked Jalen Hurts deep into the second round. And look at him right now, the Super Bowl MVP.
This here, Merrill, I suggested that a couple days ago. I said, listen, if I'm at 32 and I don't see anything there I like, and some of those top defensive tackles that you're talking about have been gone or they slide down. I'm with you because I think there's probably going to be 3 quarterbacks taken and none of them outside of Cam Ward are first-round picks, in my opinion. I think they're most of talent-wise, they're like 3, 4, 5, but they're going to go high because it's the quarterback position. Yeah. But I suggested this, Merrill, trade out of 32, trade it to New England, trade it to Cleveland, trade it to the Giants, trade it to anybody who most likely will not have a good year this coming season. And Merrill, guess what? You could get a first-round pick next year. That thing could be in the top 10 picks. And if you win the Super Bowl, you'll have a 32nd pick. You might have the last pick in the draft and the first pick in the draft next year if you went that route.
You're right. It'll be interesting. But look, I'm still enjoying 2024 and the first few weeks of 2025 before I get into worrying about 2026.
I love it, Merrill. Merrill, you're going to have to show me that ring when you get it. You showed me the consolation ring, and I don't think you were really happy showing me the 22 ring, the NFC title ring when you got it. But I want to see that Super Bowl ring when you get it because I have that on my Facebook. You showing that, and your face is like this.
Well, I have 5 rings now, and
excuse me.
No, I'm getting my 5th ring. I have 4 rings now, and 2 of them are NFC championships. And this will be, or 3 of them are NFC championships, 1980, 2004. And of course, the other one was last year, but now I'll be getting my 2nd Super Bowl ring. So that's great. But you know what? The rings are great, but the feeling of being there as the seconds tick down and seeing them run down to 0 and realizing that this team that went through some trials and tribulations early in the season, got it together, and was truly the best NFL team, best team in the world for the 2024 season and a piece of 25. They're the best football team in the world right now, and that's all the satisfaction I need.
Will you promise me one thing? I want you to give me a Brady. I want you to give me a Brady photo. I want you to go like this with all 5 of them on, okay? And I might even put that as my Twitter my Twitter, Facebook, or whatever picture, you with those 5 rings on your hand. I want a Brady shot of that.
I'll find a way to do it.
Thank you so much, Merrill. I appreciate it. You enjoy the continuous parade that's going on until the start of training camp, I guess. And OTAs, here we coming up on the draft in April here, too. And we got 6 days of free agency, too. And then September obviously starts the season again. And then July 27th will start training camp.
I'm just looking forward to the warm weather of May when I can get out on the golf course. I have a brand new knee that I got 2 weeks ago, and I feel great. And I'm ready. I'm not ready for golf yet, but I will be in May.
Holy cow. So Merrill's going to be able to have a full follow through. Before you were probably slicing it right.
It's going to help. And you know what? I gave my new knee a name.
What is it?
Saquon. I'll be moving better than ever.
Holy cow. Merrill Reese, are you kidding me? He's got 20 extra yards on his drive now. What happened? He has the Barkley knee.
That's
Merrill,
it.
thank you, my friend.
Take care and have a great day.
You got it. That's my friend Merrill Reese, the legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Very cool. We'll have Xander Krauss on with us at 4:30, and we will have Angelo Cataldi on with us at 5:30. Please hit the like button. Holy cow. I've got the Barkley knee. I love that guy. Yeah, I'm getting that picture. By the way, as you can see, I don't quite have a Baldinger finger there, but it's pretty close. See what I did here? I taped them wrong. I taped it this way. It should have went this way. But as you can see, this thing's here at 2 o'clock, that one finger. Look at it. That one. Yeah, that thing's not aimed in the right direction. I don't think this one is either over here. See the pinky? The pinky's broken. I shattered it. Yeah, not good. Yeah, not working. Hey, hit the like button there. Don't forget my good friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in America, folks. I talked about John Morgan and Ultima Morgan, his wife. They built this franchise 25 years ago, and it is the #1 law firm when it comes to injury law firms in America. And their track record speaks for itself with over $20 billion recovered for clients. Morgan & Morgan's track record is second to none. They are the #1 recovery law firm in the country. Pennsylvania, I told you about the case. $650K, an insurance company came in. They wanted to settle with $650. They were threatening the people in PA. They called Morgan & Morgan and said, no way. John Morgan and his team of thousands went in, and they ended up getting that family $26 million in recovery. There was a family in Florida, same scenario, $350K. Insurance company didn't want to budge. Morgan & Morgan goes to work. They ended up getting $12 million for that family. Life is tough, man. We tell you this all the time. Decisions that you make could really be detrimental or prosperous for your families. Choosing Morgan & Morgan is the easiest thing that you'll do. If you're ever injured, please do me a favor. Make sure you check out my friends. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Yeah. Big Sills, please hit the like button. Looks like I may have to sue 97.5 The Fanatic. I saw Trump just win a lawsuit against somebody for trashing him with something that's not true. May just have to get John Morgan on this. As a matter of fact, I think I will. I think I'm going to sue Mike Missinelli in 97.5. Make sure you tell him I said that. You don't want John Morgan on your ass. John. Need you, buddy. Start the ball rolling. I think they may have even. Yeah. You want to go down that route? You want to start saying shit on the airwaves about me like that? And you have no proof, you just making random comments like that? Really? Okay. Well, you make sure you tell them, folks, that Big Sills is coming for you. All right, where were we here? I wrote down my top guys that I think you could take at 32. Yeah, that's right. I don't know him from a can of paint. And he's going on airwaves on Beasley saying that. Those days are gone. Those days are gone. Gone. Mike Missinelli called me, according to Xander, a racist and a misogynist, and he don't know me from a can of paint. I will be suing Mike Missinelli. I will be suing Mike Missinelli for his comments today on 97.5. John Morgan, I'm even going to add him. Love, you're help. There. Sorry, folks, just a little business. I'm not taking that shit anymore. I'm going to be on that list pretty soon. Hold on here, too. I got to make sure that, let's see here. Let's do this here with Krauss and Till here. We'll be suing the station for Mike Missinelli's comments. And I know Brian Beasley, too. So we'll let him. I'm not playing around any longer. Might as well put the Inquirer on it, too. So, thank you for your patience. Had to make sure we got it there. I don't know why, I will be, I'm going to, too. I'm going to get John Morgan on this tonight. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, Xander will join us in here in a couple minutes. How about if I just buy the fan? He just opened his face, man. That was great. Sills is the one of us. Only we get the bag on. Yes. Yes. Only you guys get the bag on Sills. Yes. Absolutely. Only you guys get it. Absolutely true. Oh, man. Bag on Sills is wild. Damn, I need to watch my words. Bro, not you. M. Reyes. Are you kidding me? I could have sued you 500 times by now. All right. Okay. Hey, listen. How many people believe that at 32, Eagles are going edge? How many people believe at 32 you're going edge? How many people believe that? You see Christian Kirk get traded to the Texans for a 7th? I saw that. He's a pretty good ball player, too. I do. Sawyer. All right. I do, too. I think they're going to trade down there. And here's the guys that I wrote down. And by the way, folks, these are rankings. I know I've been pumping and saying Jack Sawyer. Okay? But here are the names. Okay. Here are the highest rated edge rushers in this coming draft in April. Is it 27th? Something like that? Listen to where you are now. Abdul Carter is still the number 1 ranked edge. He's the second ranked prospect in this draft. Remember, when we're talking here, put everything in perspective about positions, cornerbacks, offensive tackles, defensive tackles, tight ends, all that, the overrated quarterbacks that are going to be in this draft. Number 2 is Michael Williams, Georgia. He's the 12th rated best player in the draft. Okay? These are the top edge guys. Number 3, Jalen Walker, Georgia. He's the 13th highest rated edge. Think of these names now. Now, this is post-combines. I'm going to tell you something here that I don't think he'd have a problem with, but these are Carl Dunbar's. And who is Carl Dunbar? Carl Dunbar worked the edge rushers for the draft. Okay? These were his rankings. He's the D-line coach for the Steelers. So when you win, become owner of the fan, hire me to take up. Sure. All right. Yeah, you can't just say that shit anymore. We're in a different world now, dog. Woke is dead. Number 4, Mike Green, Marshall. He's the 15th player. However, there were conversations about some character issues when he was at Marshall. I don't think that guy's going to go as high as people think. He's a good player. And if you're comfortable with all that, and you're comfortable with it, then he's your guy. But I think he's going to fall in the draft. Number 5, top edge guys. And again, these are rankings from people, and most notably Carl, who was there and worked them out. Okay? Number 5, Nick Soughton, A&M. He's the 29th ranked best player in this draft. Okay, will he be down there? Yeah. That'll be somebody to be down there looking at. Number 6, Shamar Stewart, A&M. He is the 30th ranked player. You know why he's ranked so low? His tape is not that great at A&M. It's just not that great. There's my boy here. When you win, can I have all my Hanger Super Chats back? My man, Big Sills. You think I'm going to let somebody do that shit anymore? Over. And by the way, I don't give a shit anymore. Number 7, Jared Ivey, Ole Miss, number 32, ranked best player in the draft. These are all dudes that are going to be attainable. Number 8, David Walker, Central Arkansas, number 33, best player in the draft. These are all guys that are going to be afforded the chance for you to go get them. I don't want Hendrickson. I'm not blowing up my game plan for Trey Hendrickson. He's a really good player. I know, listen, these aren't my rankings. Number 9, James Pierce. I think he's ranked this low because he's 240. He is 6'4", but I think he's ranked low like that because he's not a really, massive guy. He's like a 6'5", 6'4", 240. That's a little lean. Number 10, you have to help me here on this one. Donovan Ezekua, the BC kid, he's the 38th ranked best player in the draft. Number 11, Jordan Birch, Oregon. He's the number 75. Hey, by the way, when you're down here, Jalen Hurts was in the 50s. Josh Sweat was a third rounder, I believe. Don't look at these rankings. This doesn't dictate your career. Evaluations are like assholes. Everyone has one. So, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just because you're hearing this, that's how they're lining these guys up for the April draft. That's not what they're saying. People have no idea how these guys are going to pan out and how they're going to play. No way. By the way, this is not an indictment. It's not. This is where they're ranking you. Remember, it's a draft. Number 12, Tyler Burrow, Miami. I like the kid. I know the kid. He's the 79th best edge rusher in the draft. Somewhere in the top of the third. I mean, he's really good. The only problem that I have with him is that, remember something, Calais Campbell wasn't a very good player at Miami. I'll take that back. Calais was a good player at Miami. He wasn't a special player at Miami. He was a better pro. Calais Campbell wasn't a game-changing player at Miami. He was a good ball player. His career was better. Number 13 is Elijah Roberts, SMU, number 81. And there's my guy, Jack Sawyer, Ohio State, 84, 14th best edge. You mean to tell me I get that guy in the third? I'll fucking take that. Remember, that's not an indictment on his career, on where you're taken. Fred Warner was a third-round pick. Fred Warner makes $20 million a year. Get this. Zach Bond was a third-round pick. He's making $18 million now. So because you hear these numbers here, again, this is like a the only people that goes along numbers like this is somebody that used to work for Xander and do the post-game show. That's it. I don't know. Who? Now I look like I'm shitting two feathers. I'm an owl sitting on a branch. How you doing? So again, the Eagles are good. I take edge down there. All right. We got some high drama going on, bro. Holy cow, I love it. Gardner Johnson, play, leadership. Man, this Eagle team, between the trades, the bitching, the moaning, the parade, Big Sills, shit. It's time now for my boy. Don't forget, too, Angelo Cataldi will join me at 5:30. He is, without a doubt, the fastest growing young broadcaster in Philly. And there'll be no Judases here. We don't have Bill Judas working for us. What we have now is Xander Krauss. Big Z joins Big Sills right now.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. A fun show today, huh?
Hey,
well, I can't wait for the day that I can talk about all this stuff completely unfiltered and unhinged to tell all the great people of JAKIB Nation how much shit goes on in the background, man, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Well, let me just say this. Unfortunately, I know I make your job harder because
No, you don't.
Still has no filter, dog.
You don't make my job harder at all.
let's start here with this.
In fact, you make my job easy because you're one of the best sports talkers I've ever listened to. So yeah, I would say the opposite. But no, just real quick on what you were talking about earlier. Yeah, I think what you're saying is what you should do. I mean, that was pretty insane what they say about you. And look, you and I, or at least Jacob and you, are similar in that regard, where people love to take our name and drag it through the mud. And the funniest part about it all is that there's so much context that's left out of every story. It's so fake. It's almost hard to read and consume because the world in which I live, which by the way is the real world when it comes to Jacob and anybody who talks about it, is so different than what the perception has been put out there. It's almost astonishing. But anyway, Sills, I'll say this. As long as they're fucking talking, baby. Woo! If they ain't talking, then what are we doing? What are we doing here if they're not talking about us? You know what I'm saying? So they're talking, and I'm happy about it.
And, Xander used to always say this. So I'll just tell you folks one thing. Xander goes, how come you don't get Bill on? I go, because I don't think he's that good.
No,
go, hey, I never had him on my program. Okay, but I went on his once, and Xander has killed it. I mean, dude, look at our segments. Our segments are so good. And you guys,
Bill. I like Bill. I feel like he again, I'm not going to take credit for all the guy's success, but he did a good job, start, dog. Opportunity. But yeah, I mean, he started with Jacob. We had a great relationship, everything we did here together, and now he's out there trashing Jacob, trashing you, trashing everything we're doing. And it's like, I think here's the one thing I love. And maybe this is God blessing me with the mentality about this, but I'm patient. I don't need to prove anybody right or wrong.
So you're the Howie Roseman of broadcasters.
I'm just saying I'm patient right now. I'm willing to see all of these things through. I'm 26 years old still. In fact, Jacob, as far as I'm concerned, Jacob started 9 months ago. Truthfully. Really, it started 9 months ago in terms of what we're doing and the big picture vision of where we are and what we're doing and where we're going with this thing. So I'm able to see it through. I can't wait to see what it all looks like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years from now. But all I know is I'm going to be here. All right. All you people watching, I'm going to be here. And you're going to still be hearing from me then. And we'll be in a good spot. No doubt about it.
So what do you make of the last 3 days, bro, with your boy, man, and how it's all panning out here, man? I mean, I'm going to make this point to you here, Xander. I think he's made Super Bowl moves. Wait, let's do this. What do you make of the Slay and the Gardner Johnson shit? I mean, I don't really think it's a big issue. I'm only kidding around a little bit, but I like guys with edge. But to sit there and go Gardner Johnson, I mean, doesn't have leadership. That's what the implication was. I would have been pissed off, too, that I get Slay wants to show his importance on his leadership, on what you even said on having veteran guys in the locker room. But, hey, dude, Gardner Johnson's 2 years with the Eagles. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, that's not awful here, but how do you see this?
Look, this is one of those things that, Sills, I truthfully believe this is a part of the social media world that we live in today. Like, are you going to sit here and tell me that back in 1985 and 86, when you were on one of the best college football teams that's ever been assembled, that there was no men in that room that had ego, that had pride, that had ability, talent, superstar fame, everything, and they didn't ever get in spats? Like, look, C.J. Gardner-Johnson is a prideful player. Yep. He is going to feel slighted when Slay says what he does. I don't have an issue with that. On the other hand, though, I don't really have an issue with what Slay said either. Slay has proven he cares a little bit more about the buddy-buddy with everybody around the league than fans would like him to care. He's proven that time and time again. He likes talking to players. He likes doing the podcast. He doesn't care about talking about current players that are on his team. He's going to do that. Do I hate him? No. Do I value what he gave to the city for 5 years in the Super Bowl ring that he helped bring to the city? Absolutely 100%. Am I now willing to say he probably won't be back next year? Yeah, I think that's probably likely because they'll probably, go with the younger guy there. And but again, I don't hate Slay. I don't hate C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I love both of the players. And if social media didn't exist, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. All right, it's all fuddy-duddy. So I don't really care about it, to be honest with you.
I get both guys in the room if I'm Vic and go, Hey, Guinea wine.
Yeah, right. Really.
Work this thing over here, man.
It looks like it's Sills and Xander text off.
Hey, have I never ever done what I say? And you're like, yeah. That's
Well, no, listen. I mean,
up.
here's the other part of it too, where it's like, Slay and CJ Gardner-Johnson they were both a big part of the team,
Yep.
and they're going to have different feelings about this thing, and they're certainly entitled to feel that. But at the end of the day, Sills, how many times in the last 2 years, and I want everybody to think about this, how many times in the last 2 years have we on this show and many other shows and on Twitter and in the Eagleverse talked about, this guy said this on podcast, this guy tweeted this, AJ Brown tweeted this, somebody made their profile picture this. We won the Super Bowl last year. Like, none of it fucking matters. That's
right.
That's the one thing I love about the offseason that people forget, because they think it's all that matters because it's all that's going on right now. It doesn't matter at all. I got news. CJ Gardner-Johnson tweets, Slay's podcast comments, none of it matter. It doesn't matter at all, okay? The team, as long as they keep winning games and they keep doing what they need to do to win Super Bowls, none of it matters. But it's good entertainment in the offseason. I enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. And by the way, I think anytime, like you said, you have high-profile personalities,
yeah,
dude, you're gonna. Hey, dude, you butted heads all year long talking about the offense passing game. What did it result in? A Super Bowl. All of that shit is secondary conversation, and it's fodder when you talk about how the team won this year. But listen, I think they need both of them back. I mean, I'm not saying Gardner, and by the way,
right.
CJ's not going anywhere, but I think you need both of them. Like Merrill said. How about Merrill said too? Merrill goes like this. Am I ready to sit here and say the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl? No. Okay, I'm not. But I'll tell you where I am. That Vaughn move makes me feel a lot more in the conversation where I was in 22, where I'll be picking that team to do some really high things this year. I'll tell you this, man. Right now, I feel like the 22 offseason, and Xander will tell you, folks, I was the first guy in Philly to tell you, you're going to Super Bowl. And I feel kind of right that way right now. I want to see what the replacement is. I want to see the 32. I want to see what you're doing at the tackle position. I want to see what you do at depth. And I want to see all that. I proposed something earlier, Xander. I proposed Joey Bosa. And here's why. Bosa's production, his talent's not an issue. He's going to be cheap. You can get a guy like that. Remember, Barkley's his resume said injury prone too.
Yeah, it's true.
You get around really good players, and look at the numbers every year. Whether it's nine games, 5 sacks. This is what I said. You draft a guy at 32 for your future. You got Jalen Hunt for your future. I'm talking about the sweat replacement. You got Bosa for today. And if you want to bring BG back, you know what you have? You have leadership in the locker room. And you got depth.
Yeah, and you have some stability. Like, you're going to have some changes. And I know you don't want to get stuck in the same team, because I think that's how you get beat. But you're going to have changes. And I think some of these guys coming back is a good thing, especially when you're talking about having the number 1 overall deal. Like, it's not like, did the 95, 85 Bears want to bring back guys? Of course they did. I mean, that's how it works. I mean, if you have a great defense and great pieces, you want to bring some guys back. But you know what the Bond move does do, Sills? I wanted Slay back, and I put that out publicly. I put that out on social media. I do. I want Slay back. I think 1 year, 8 years, $8 million makes sense. But
I do too.
I will say that Bond deal takes a little bit of pressure off there, because there's always going to be some moving parts, right? There's always going to be some pieces that change. We do have Cooper and Quinion. We do have both our safeties. Now we got the 2 starting linebackers returning. We'll see about Nakobe Dean as a starter in week 1, but he's coming back, obviously, for the team. And you got Carter, Davis, Nolan Smith, and Mora Jomo on the front. Like, now you're bringing back enough pieces that I feel a little like, if Slay doesn't come back now, I'm like, all right, this is the NFL. Like, you drafted guys, you spent assets on players. This is where their moment now has to come into this. So I feel much better, give or take, on Slay, because Zach Bond is now coming back. And I feel much better about that. So we'll see what ends up happening.
When you say, though, if Slay comes back, the less pressure also to put DeJean on the corner.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that anyway. I like it. I mean, a lot of people are
Shit,
are
if you don't
saying,
do it now, Xander, you're never going to do it.
I know that's what I said, and I think I truly think he's good enough. But and people aren't wrong. The one thing about having him in the slot that is advantageous, and the business. Here's where people have a tough time differentiating. And I'm just speaking like some people that I've talked to. I'm not speaking generally. I know most people get it, or some people get it, but there's a difference between his value to the team as a football player and then the business side of it, where the agent is going to be saying, Coop, you want to get outside. You're talking about $50 million to $100 million more in your career. If you have a 10-year career at slot and you get paid well for those 10 years versus if you have a 10-year career at outside corner, you're probably going to make 50 to 100 million more dollars. That's not peanuts. That's not 2 million. That's realistic. Like, you're going to make that much more money. So the business side of it, Coop is going to be being pushed to the outside. From a football standpoint, I do believe he's more valuable to this team in the slot right now because of the run fits. I think he gives the linebackers some help in the coverage. I think he can be more of a ball hawk kind of guy, like he was in that fourth down play with Jamar Chase in motion. I think he fits this defense better in that slot, but the business might get in the way. That might be a realistic things that happen. So we'll see what they end up doing. But either way, don't you feel pretty good having two young corners that you feel this good about? I mean, we've never had this before. Yeah. Two young guys that we feel this good about on this team. Yeah. I mean, you feel pretty good. So they might have some change there, but we'll see what they end up doing.
With your draft picks, this is where I went, Xander. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 5s. I went like this, Xander. Number 1, I think they'd land on an edge. Second round, I believe you've shown that you've done this with Zach Ertz and also with Dallas Goedert, that you're not afraid to go with a second-round pick with a tight end. And I think you have to upgrade that. If there's any places on your offense where you have to upgrade, do you not believe it's the tight end position?
Well, it is. This is one of the positions where it definitely is the tight end position. You think they might make a move here? Like, could they make a trade? Could they do something here that's a little bit of a surprise this offseason?
Let me ask you, if you're with Goddard, do you cut him? Do you trade him? Do you extend him?
Can't cut him. I said this morning on Birds 365, and I thought about the trade later in the day. I'm like, I wonder if Howie would make like a splash trade. I'm talking about like get a tight end that you think could be here for 5, 6, 7 years. Maybe. I don't think so because of the assets, but they probably want to keep those assets. But if the right guy for the right price becomes available, maybe. But I put out on Birds 365 this morning an idea about this because he's got 1 year left on his deal and it's not a lot of guaranteed money. So you probably already know they're in kind of that talk where, we have to do something about this contract. Do you extend him for 2 years? All right. He's going to be 30 next season. So he'll be 30 and 31 on those 2 years. You draft a tight end in that I think third round, but you said second. That's fine. Second or third round. Now you let that guy grow into his role. You feel like you have a better safety net if Goddard does inevitably miss those 25, 30% of games that he misses every year. And then you can move on from Goddard at the end. But my worry with moving on from Goddard now is, like Sills, our window is now. So if you get rid of Goddard and you're not sure you can improve at that position, why are you going to get rid of him right now? I don't think that makes a lot of sense because there's no real good contingency right now in the room or really available in free agency. So you'd have to trade an asset or spend a draft pick. And even if you spend a third-round pick, Sills, you want to get rid of Goddard and rely on third-round pick and Calcaterra? I don't.
But how about using the blueprint that they have in how they handled Zach Ertz? Didn't they draft Goddard and he was on the team for a couple of years while Zach Ertz was still there? And didn't they transition? Because when I first got here, they fired, what's his name, Hurts in the huddle or in the tunnel. And he was already ready to rock and roll.
The way they did that with that Zach was bullshit. But
but
remember,
that's what they did.
They're way behind compared to that deal. Like they drafted Dallas Goedert when Zach Ertz was
still good.
Was 2 years back from what Goddard is now. I think Ertz was 28 years old when they made that pick. So, this is my entire premise right here. Extend Goddard for 2 years. You can kick the cap hits to 27, 28. You extend your window now. You keep some stability in the room. You give yourself a little bit of time to get those ads, get another guy in the room or a replacement plan, a contingency plan in the room. I think that makes the most sense, honestly, logically. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. They might not like the play. They might think that the player is injury prone or whatever the case may be. So, but there's no doubt that's the one spot on the offense. You know, the other spot that I'm starting to get a little nervous about, and I might just be talking myself into this going crazy because it's the offseason. I'm a little concerned about Cam Jurgens. Like I'm worried about that back, man. I'm telling you, somebody in my family used to have back issues and minor. Those back spasms, those things would kick up, and a regular athletic person just in my life that went to the gym every day couldn't move sometimes. I'm not saying Cam is that, but anytime I hear disc, anytime I hear spine, anytime I hear back like that, and now a surgery, I get a little nervous there. And that's a center. I don't know. That's my one thing I'm feeling a little nervous about right now.
I think when you hear the word chronic is when you should be a little more concerned with it, because I've not heard the word chronic with
I haven't heard that either. Yeah, I haven't heard that either.
So, I mean, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give the medical team the benefit of the doubt here, and I'm going to go like this, Xander. When I start to hear chronic, that's when I'm going to worry a little more about Cam Jurgens. I don't think it's going to hold up his extension. I don't think it's going to do any of that. I think if that thing becomes a problem, now it may do this instead of a 3-year deal. Maybe they only give him a 2-year deal.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, that'll be an interesting move, what they're going to do here in the offseason as well. Here's my third pick. So my first pick at 32 is edge. My second would be tight end. My third is going to be at 96, a linebacker, and I'm going to tell you why.
Interesting.
Because Dean's injuries are chronic. And that is a problem for me. And knowing how Vic runs his defense, how important the linebacker play was, and let's go back to even 22.
Yeah. Kaiser
White and TJ Edwards had great seasons, and you made it to the Super Bowl. You had a dog shit linebacker crew in 23. You fell apart. You had a sensational linebacker crew. In 24, you win the thing. I think Howie even showing you pain. Zach Bond, he's changed his mentality there. So I'm doing that to save face. I don't know if Oren Burks is back. I don't know.
No, I would bet he's not. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I think you framed it up perfectly. Because now that I'm thinking about this, the deal with Bond might increase their odds of taking a linebacker. Because if you think about it, they're not going to pay $5 million or $4 million to Oren Burks. They're going to go for a cost-effective option that they can keep in the room for a couple of years with Bond, and then potentially have an off-ramp after Bond, or just having a cost-effective guy in the room. Nakobe Dean's at the end of his deal too after this year. So I think that actually is a good point. Now, here's the thing. I talked to Ian Cummins this morning on Birds 365. By the way, he is a tremendous draft guy. Really, really, really good draft guy. He said one of the weaker position groups, talking about down draft, bottom rounds, 3 through 7, day 3, day 2 pick, late day 2 picks. The linebackers can be weak. The top of the class is pretty good with the linebackers, but he said it's not, there's not as many starters in that group as running backs, safeties, cornerbacks, and stuff like that. So I don't know if that comes into it. Maybe they take a linebacker. The one thing I differ on with you is I got edge rusher 1. I got offensive lineman in the 2nd round, and I got the tight end in the 3rd round.
Oh, okay. So say
just a small difference. Yep.
You're still in the same room here.
Yeah, I didn't have linebacker in those top 3 rounds, but now I am wondering if potentially they would go down that road because it's so cheap and cost effective. And you see what Vic does with guys that aren't supposed to be good. But then you also have Trotter in the room. Like maybe they feel good about Trotter. I don't know. There's only 3 years left on that deal. So we'll see what they end up doing. But that's going to be interesting.
Wow. I mean, I do too. So I got linebacker there. My 4th round pick, I'm going to go OT. I don't know what they're going to do with Becton. And that is a comfort zone type of pick for the Eagles. They like to do that stuff, and they like to keep replenishing that position. So I'm going to go offensive tackle there at that position. I think it's a pretty deep situation there when you're looking at, and especially the way they do business. I'm going OT there.
I agree. I could see that too. I think they're going offensive. I mean, they're going offensive lineman somewhere. I mean, there's no doubt they're going somewhere. But do you think Becton's going to come back?
I thought it was pretty interesting on what Marcus Hayes said yesterday. He didn't think he had a great year. I'm going to disagree with that. I thought he had a great year. I don't think the guy who has 2,005 rushing yards. Do you think anybody in that offensive line, anybody had a bad year in that O-line? Could you say anybody had a bad year in that O-line?
No, I mean, nobody had a bad year in that O-line. Not even close.
Now,
but here's the other part of it, dude. Like we've crunched this cap a lot where you look at how many guys are getting paid, and the reality is that some guys are going to have to be cheap. And Sills, if you think about it, they spent what on Tyler Steen? A second-round pick?
A
third-round pick on Tyler Steen, and he's been in the wings now for a couple of years. Like, I'm not saying they don't like Becton. I'm just saying it wouldn't completely surprise me if Howie looked and said, we got to get this young man in the action. All right, it's time to put him on the field because we need these assets for other spots to keep rebuilding the defense and retooling around. And the other thing is, you have a Hall of Fame tackle on the right side of you. Cam Jurgens was a pretty damn good center in the middle, and the left side of your offensive line is arguably the best in the NFL. So, if I'm going to give Bond to Fangio, Stoutland, I might have to take one guy from you. I don't know. We'll see if it ends up happening, but I did not want to rule that out. It's one of the things I think even me personally have probably dismissed too quick. I was thinking about that. I'm like, Steen wasn't like a seventh rounder. Like he was like a
right
pick. I mean, they might get him into the action. We'll see.
Absolutely, man. So then I went here. I went safety with my first pick, that pick from Houston, because whatever you're going to do, Xander, and with Slay and what you're going to do with Slay and DeJean, don't you want a little bit more depth back there in that safety position? Wouldn't you want a little bit more? And then again, let me ask you this. How sold are you on Keely Ringo?
I'm not overly sold on Keely Ringo. The one thing I will say, I mean, you talk about college football all the time. Anybody that watches the SEC, okay? And again, this isn't the pros, so it's different. But anybody that watches the SEC, anybody that watches Georgia, that dude could flat out play in college. He was lights. I remember when Alabama played Georgia that year, and they didn't want to throw at Keely Ringo. He was that good. Now, again, he hasn't been that in the pros. I think he's young. I think he has a bright future. I just don't know if I'm ready to put all of the pressure on him just yet. So I like him. Sidney Brown, I think other people are a little higher on him than I am. I think he's an awesome athlete and a great player, and I love how he plays with his hair on fire. I just don't know if he's an every down player in the NFL and the NFL defense. I'm not sure yet. And then you have that Lewis Seen kid who's also from Georgia. He was another good player at Georgia. And we'll see if he can pan out or be something. But I really don't think they're drafting in the secondary. This especially in those early rounds. Maybe a 4 or 5 or 6 Hills, but I don't see early talking about it.
Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Just hold on. Sorry.
I think we're both sidetracked by the same thing.
My second, fifth rounder, Xander. By the way, the views are going up. I wonder why. Let me say this to you here. My second, fifth, guard or center, because of what you just said with Jurgens. Yeah. Remember, you got Kelsey around in this neck of the woods here too. And you've got, you want a little protection now with Jurgens, don't you, at center?
Yeah, I would say.
You know what? Wouldn't you now, if you're even talking about that back injury, wouldn't you maybe even use that 4th round pick for a center in the draft?
Well, here's the thing. It depends. If it's a true center that can't move, probably not. But you know how they love offensive linemen. Like if they find a guy, remember Landon Dickerson was drafted as a center out of Alabama. Yeah, Cam Jurgens was drafted to be a center. I mean, so many guys were drafted. Isaac Seumalo, I think, was supposed to be a center back in the day. Like, if they find an athlete on the offensive line, they're probably going to cross-train him, and they're probably going to, have him ready to go. So you can never rule out offensive line skills at any spot in the NFL draft for the Eagles.
Would you go after Trey Hendrickson?
If he's cheaper than Myles Garrett, I'd consider it. I'm not in love with the names anymore. Don't get in love with the names. Think about the production on this defense. If I got to pay 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, okay, and $40 million.
Myles Garrett, okay, Trey Hendrickson, I don't know, man. I saw Fred Johnson kick his ass.
I'm just saying, well, I know they're not the same guy, but can Trey Hendrickson give you 13 sacks, and do you want to pay $40 million and an extra first-round pick to get 17 sacks from Garrett? I don't know.
Wouldn't I rather just stay with my game plan?
I think Marcus Hayes said that perfectly yesterday on the show. Now, he didn't know a lot of stuff like he said yesterday. I didn't agree.
I know.
I did agree with that part of it, where I kind of liked the way he laid out how he didn't think trading for Garrett was the end all be all move. But I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing there. But Trey Hendrickson, what do you think it's going to cost? Did we just lose Sileo? I lose your Sills. You guys got me still? Is this me or is this Sileo? All right, I think Cileo's gonzo right now. Bob Lang got us. They heard us talking. All right, you guys got me. No Sileo right now. Let me see if I can reconnect. He's probably froze up. His internet might have tanked for a second. Normally, he comes in pretty quick. So let me see if Sills gets back up real quick, and we'll see what he can do. But I do think Sills is a good, pretty good draft so far right now when you look at it with what he's doing and obviously going to those offensive line. Trey Hendrickson, though, I don't know. What do you guys think of Trey Hendrickson and Myles Garrett? Like big discrepancy. Would you rather go for Myles Garrett there? If Trey's cheaper, would you go down that road? I think it's a good question by Sills. And speaking, look, this is my show now, Sileo. I'm just kidding. What happened? You're all good now.
God knows what happened here. Hey, it's California. What the fuck do you want from me? Hey, listen, you asked the question about how much. Hey, you asked the question how much it would cost for him. Well, it's the Bengals. So you got to know that. You got to remember, you're walking into a conversation with a zipper.
Yeah, right.
With this guy, okay? So you're walking into that scenario with knowing that they're going to want a king's ransom for the guy, because why? Get this, they're not going to be able to sign T. Higgins and him. If they're not going to do that. So they're going to move
to get drafted to the Bengals.
Yeah, I wouldn't. No, if you're Joe Burrow, you think Burrow finishes his career there? I don't.
I don't know, maybe, because I think quarterback's like the only guy that will get paid. But like, even look at T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, all these guys. I would hate to get drafted there, man. And then you look across and see Philly, and like Joe said on the podcast, seems like they're paying everybody. You know, it would stink. And by the way, it's not the GM. People think it's the GM. He's not good with the cap.
It's Mike Brown.
GM's actually really good with the cap and Bengals in Cincinnati because it's got to be, because the owner doesn't put out cash, man. The owner doesn't put out cash, so he doesn't have it. I don't think he's cash rich like some of these other things. So, I don't know. Trey Hendrickson, depending on what the deal would be, I would consider it. He's productive. He led the NFL in sacks last year, Sills.
I know he did. And he look, but I'm the champ. I'm not ripping my championship game plan up.
But why do you feel the need to rip it up for Garrett then?
Because Garrett's different.
I think Garrett's
the best player in the league.
I know. I agree he's different. But what's the difference in the production that they're going to have in this team? Take the names off the back of the jerseys for a second. All right? They're mannequins, as our guy Flex would like to hear. All right? They're mannequins for a second. One guy costs you 2 firsts and $40 million a year. One guy might cost you a 2 and $30 million. The $30 million guy gets you 14 sacks. The $40 million guy gets you 18. Like, I don't know. I probably feel pretty good about, going with the cheaper option there, because I feel like your production is going to be made up on the rest of that defensive line with Jalen Carter and some of those other guys. So I don't know. That's the one thing I like about it. If it's a little bit cheaper, it might make more sense.
Yeah, you put Myles Garrett with Jalen Carter, though. He hasn't played with anybody like that. You put him on that team with Vic.
Yeah,
he's a 20-sack-a-year guy.
Yeah, he is.
Dude, he's a 15-sack guy on that shitty Browns team.
I know. Are you any concern on the age?
Eagles? On the Eagles, he's a 20-sack guy.
Any concern on the age?
No. Because I'm only signing him to 3 years. I'm not signing him to a 5-year deal. You know? I'm not. Would you be interested in Hargrave back for
There's
depth?
an old saying, time waits for no man. All right.
That's true.
And I wonder.
Brady's the only guy. Brady's the only guy to fuck that up.
I know he did. He did fuck that up. You're right. But,
hey, how about Javon Hargrave? Would you bring him back for depth? He's going to be cheap.
I know everybody loves this. Why is it? Is it just me, or am I the only guy that doesn't really love looking in the rear view mirror? And I know there's some cases where it's worked. Like look at CJ. We brought him back. It was a really big hit, but I like Javon Hargrave is like history in Philadelphia. Like I'm okay to keep it as history. I don't really need him to come in and be a part of this team that just won a Super Bowl. I'm not against it, but I'm not like overly for it. I don't think he's that big of a deal. I'd rather draft a guy, I'd rather even give more of a Jomo.
That's more of a gamble though to draft than Hargrave.
Well, how much is
Hargrave?
I know who he is.
I know what his liabilities are, and I know what his strengths are.
What do you think Hargrave's going to make?
When I draft a guy, I don't know what it is. I still don't even know who Jordan Davis is yet, and that's 4 years.
I know that's true, but what do you think Hargrave's going to make? That's my issue with it.
Okay,
he's not going to make peanuts.
He ain't making 20.
He ain't making 20, but he's not making 3 either.
You think he's a $10 million guy?
I think probably.
Well, then I'm out.
What was his production last year?
Then I'm out.
What kind of production did he have last year?
Well, I don't think anybody had production on that 49er team last year.
Holy shit. He didn't have like any production.
No. But look at
he got hurt. Oh, he got hurt. He got hurt. And then they whacked him. He only played 100 snaps.
I heard John Lynch wants him back, though, too. Okay? I mean, they want him back at a reduced number.
He barely played. Yeah, he was cheeks, though. 104 snaps and 1 sack, 7 tackles.
20 mil. How you doing?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really
so you'd rather draft a kid than go there, and it makes more sense. Xander, this is why, a couple more before we read the supers here. Let me show this to you here. This is why I think you guys are in a better place today. You know that bullshit thing that you guys were throwing around, especially you with that fucked up thing about a Super Bowl window? You're right this time. 22, they didn't have one. 17, they didn't have one. Why? Because they had mercenaries to build their team around. Now, Tony Dungy told me the other night, he said this, you know what the Eagles have this time? Look at the core guys on defense. You have 7 dudes on defense that were home cooked and drafted of your 11 starters. He said it's easier to plug free agents in when you have core dudes on your team, which means you have a wider window for success.
Right.
That's the difference here, is that you have, like, look at it. If you move the Gene out, and I'm becoming more of a fan of not doing that. Okay. And keeping him
makes sense to not do it. But
because you know what? I want him to resemble to me. I want him to look kind of like something in a Kyle Hamilton that roams the middle of the field like that, because Kyle Hamilton, in my opinion, I mean, you hear Vic talking about him that he's a game changer.
But Cooper's more athletic than Kyle in terms of speed and quickness.
But I want him in that conversation.
Yeah, I got what you're saying. A versatile guy in the defense.
In the middle of the field.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. And
not only can he cover, he can tee up guys like Henry. That's showing me versatility. So, hey, dude, get this. If I got a little low in the light when it came to production at linebacker, and I got a guy behind me like a Wolverine dude, and that guy's roaming the secondary in there in the middle of the zone, I feel more comfortable about having him. Where do you think you're going to get beat more in a game nowadays? I think you're going to get more in the middle of the field than you are in the numbers. I think those slot guys, CeeDee Lamb, makes a career in the slot going against safeties and corner. And go
He's
safeties.
going to have a hard time against Coop in the slot.
I agree.
Dallas is our best test to see how good Coop would be at the outside. Can you hang with CeeDee Lamb? If you can't hang with CeeDee Lamb in the slot, you're going to have a hard time outside. That'd be a good test right there to see. But no, you're right. I don't know. I think, remember, a couple of weeks ago, Sills, I think we had a great segment together where you talked about keeping the middle of your defense together. And with the Bond signing, Dean is obviously still under contract. You got Carter in the middle. You got your two safeties under contract. Your slot corners returning. I think they've done that. So I honestly don't think they're going to get beat more in the middle. I don't. I mean,
no, I don't either.
If you put Isaiah Rodgers on the outside, I would say that's your weak point. If you're another team going up against the Birds and Isaiah Rodgers or Keely Ringo's on the outside, I mean, that's where you're going to target. You go up against a team like the Rams where that's how Stafford plays ball. He identifies where in his defense he wants to pick on, and he's going to throw that ball there. That's what they're going to pick on. They're not going to pick on, any of the middle of the field. At least I don't think so.
Finally here, you think they extend Hurts?
Yeah, I do. I think they probably give him a couple more years on the deal. I think they probably bump up his average annual to 55 maybe. I think they front load another bunch of money for him, give him a big signing bonus, keep the cap hits cheap, and push out when those cap hits start kicking in. Because if you look at his contract, his cap hit coming up is I want to say 20-something million, 21 million for next season. Then it's 31 and 42 and 26 and 27. So I would say if they do it this year, you can probably get it back down to that 20 mark. Save yourself 10 mil next year, 20 mil and 27. Put the money back at the end of the deal. And I think they'll probably do that. I think it makes sense business-wise.
How about this? You do it post June 1 and you use that money for Garrett.
You really want Garrett. You and Johnny Mack.
Dude, Xander, you're not. How about this? He's the best player on defense in the last 20 years next to Aaron Donald.
All right. Here's how I view it, though. And I agree. In fact, I've called Myles Garrett the best NFL player in football since I've been watching him for 3, 4, 5 years now. All right. If I'm the Commanders and I got my ass beat in the NFC Championship game, I would say name the price I'm getting that player. If I was Detroit and I felt like I was the best team in the NFL, but I didn't make it to the Super Bowl, I'd say name your price. I need to get that guy to get me over the top. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles and my draft picks worked and my philosophy has worked and my defense was the number one in the NFL and everything we did was the right move to get to that moment that ultimately culminated in a Super Bowl, I'd say, Myles, you look good, but I don't want to blow this thing up. I know you're a great player. I'm not saying you're not a great player. That doesn't mean you're right here right now. And again, we're going to be on the show tomorrow on a Football Friday, and I'll probably be saying fucking trade for Myles Garrett. All right?
No, he'll probably do it.
Huh?
He'll probably do it. It'll probably be on our show.
I'm just having a little bit of a hard time approaching this from a perspective of you have to go and get Myles Garrett. He's that good. And it's like, no, we're that good. We have to be that good again. Yes, but we don't have to go and get that guy like that. I don't need to mortgage the house. I don't need to make a high risk decision to get to the top.
You just brought probably one of your better points up that you've ever had here on the program, because I'm going to expand it.
All right. I love when you expand points. You're the best at that.
I'm going to expand the point that you make. By the way, you make great ones. And I take some of them here. Do you know what you've just said? If you're Detroit and you're watching this magician and you're watching the Wizard of Philly going around doing all these moves, aren't you inclined, if you're Dallas, Brad Holmes in Detroit, John Lynch in Ninerville, Les Snead or Kevin Demoff in Los Angeles, aren't you almost compelled to do whatever it takes to try to stay in pace with the Eagles by overpaying, overgiving, which means you hurt your future because the guy is pressing the gas pedal down so much. He's investing in Jalen Hunt. You're making me have to give first-round picks up in my future because I got to hang tight with you.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you make them have to make moves they don't want to make.
Right. And we talked again. You keep doing what the Eagles are doing. You keep creating a bigger margin for error for yourself. And culminating in the Super Bowl this year. And like you just explained, you can get teams who are trying to play catch up and get them to fuck up because you have the power. Where did we hear this recently? We have the cards, baby. We have the cards in Philly. I don't want to give up those cards, Sills.
No, and you're on the pole.
Yeah.
You're on the pole position.
Right. I almost wore my F1 shirt today.
Hey, you're on the pole position right now, man, and you're making Super Bowl moves. Like I said yesterday, you're in the 5th quarter here. All right, let's get these super chats here. By the way, I just got a nice text from Billy Godfather. He's like, Sills, if you got people talking shit on you on another company all day long, you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's true. I talk a lot about behind the scenes shit. Godfather's a cool motherfucker. People don't know. Godfather's one of those guys that he will ride with. He is a ride or die kind of guy. That's how he is. That's why I'm a fan of his. Philly Don, what's up, Philly Don? Hendrickson, number 1 in sacks and sack percentage, number 3 in pressure percentage, number 3 in pass rush win rate next season. Cheaper than Garrett, just as good in production.
Now you sound like Bryce McMullen talking to me about pressure rate and Bryce Huff last year, telling me this, telling me
he did lead the league in sacks. Come on, this isn't Bryce Huff or Snufflgus. I mean, come on, Philly Don. I think you're right about
Xander protecting his boy. I love it.
Well, I do love Philly Don, but Philly Don knows if he said some dumb shit, I would rip him. I mean, nobody's safe from rips. I mean, come on.
He's a good player, man. He really is. He really
is. I think Don makes a good point.
I'm not ripping the game plan up for him.
But you are for Garrett.
Yes.
You are for 4 extra sacks.
No. And also the run. Wait. For the run? You think that guy's good against the run? They were 28th. That guy has played on a number 1 defense in Cleveland, too. With a shitty Cleveland. Hey, what have the Cleveland Browns done in 26 years since they've been back in Cleveland? I'll give you an Italian word half of you is good at. Ungazzi. Dinner's half Italian, just in case you're keeping score out there. Go ahead.
Man, I had pasta visual for lunch today. Excellent. Homemade.
Obviously. Gee, I wonder why more people are chiming in to watch the program. Gee,
Brian Palmer checks him.
Angelo's coming up soon at the bottom. That's right.
Angelo 5:30 is going to be excellent. Brian Pumper says, would you rather Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson? I'd rather Sidney Sweeney feed me grapes while I lounge on a bed of gold. Then I wake up. All right, Pump. That's one of your better chats. You might be coming off the Hall of Fame.
You need to be Saturday Night Live's lead writer, man. I mean, some of the shit you write up, man. You're great at it,
smart dude. Real Zeal. What's up, Zeal? Proud to support Big Sills, even if he is a scumbag. Parentheses, he is not. And it's not crossing swords, it's cross-dressing broad. F Mike Miss. Yeah, fuck Mike Miss is right. He's a big fucking bum.
Hey, guys, listen. You know this, and Xander says it to you all the time, and he's not wrong, and I can absolutely go along with what he says. You know what he says? You could talk shit on me. I could talk shit on you. He made a segment where I had to go and let you guys talk shit. Do you think he would let anybody else outside of our community talk shit on any one of us? You just saw what he did with John McMullen. That's not how this works here, man. And guess what? That's why I don't do other shows. Because it's only here. This is our deal, dude. I'm not a hooker. I'm not out for hire.
Sills is a legend in these streets. Sills, they hate that the legend of Big Sills is growing at a rapid rate. Q, what's up, Q? CJ tells it how it is. Slay is a politician. That's a good point. That's true.
But guess what? I don't care about any of that. Go win me a Super Bowl.
All right, here we go. Suo Blaze. Our team is built to last and built to win. Why not take the risk of drafting at 32 and a few more picks for a superstar that has elite years left?
Dude, so
I think he's saying go for him.
Oh, go for him. Yes.
Wait,
yes.
Our team is built to last and built to win. Why not take the risk away of drafting at 32 and a few more picks for a superstar that has elite years left? It's a good way to look at it.
I'll tell you what, if that guy delivered and helped you win 2 more Super Bowls, which he would.
I know, but here's the problem.
Bro, Vic
Because
Fangio.
we live in a world, Sills, where we
Vic
talk
Fangio,
about.
hold on. Vic Fangio with Nolan Smith or Vic Fangio with Myles Garrett. Who do you want? Who could do more?
Garrett.
What could Vic do more with?
Myles Garrett. It's a no-brainer question. But here's the problem I have with it right now, is that it almost sounds too good. Where I'm like, yeah, we live in a world where we talk about ifs and coulds and shoulds and woulds all the time. And I'll use another quote. People might not like this one, but what if a bomb dropped on your head right now? Like anything can happen. What if Myles Garrett and Jalen Carter were together? What if he blew his ACL out in the training camp? Like, what if anything can happen? If what I know is that our defense was number 1 with the guys we had in the room. That's what I know. I'm not saying they're going to be next year, but I'd bet on that. I don't know.
Well, I think with Bond right now, you may not be number 1, but you ain't squeezing out of the top 5. No way. No way. Especially if you put Slay back at the cornerback and you got your entire secondary back. Bro, all you need is depth at tackle and an edge. Dude, I agree with you. I went back and last night and watched some more Jomo play. Say so Milton Williams is let's use the scale as a 10. And Jomo's 7.5. All right. Okay. I can get around that.
You're saying 7.5 out of what Milton was?
10. Yeah. I can live with that.
I like more of Jomo.
I do too. I said it all year. Him and Booker were productive.
I like Jomo more than I like Booker, though. I think Jomo Jomo can be a piece. I think he can be a piece on an NFL team. I really do. I think he can be. So I mean, he had 400+ snaps last year. He was a piece. Who am I kidding?
No, I'm not. Plus, I think Vic really likes him because he works hard at it.
Sills says he's not a hooker, but I think Sue would say otherwise. Sills is a floozy, but I'm not shaming him.
Hey, Xander, man, how's that Venmo?
I won't tell you guys Sileo and what he does in his free time. All right, I'll leave that for the imagination.
Oh my God, fuck! I'm just a shit stirrer. That's all it is, man. It's just hey, no matter what I touch, it's just
so, this is your time, brother. There's nobody that does off-season content better than you. I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, nobody does off-season content like Big Sills. And I look forward to hearing all the rest of the content that we have to come.
Do you think there's another move by the end of the week?
I thought it might come today on the show. We had a 2-day run there of getting 2 big breaking newses during the show, and your show had massive numbers. I mean, great segments. I thought you were just absolutely electric in those segments. I think your show this week has been really freaking good. I was hoping we had another one today. I thought it would be Becton or maybe an extension or something, but I guess we didn't get one unless I missed it since I've been on here.
Trey Hendrickson's just been traded for two 4th-round picks. Howie's got him now inked down, and those 4th-round picks are in 2090.
Here's another piece of breaking news. Eagles lost one more coach to the Saints, Kyle Valero, who had an extensive history with Moore in Detroit and Dallas. He was named the Saints assistant wide receivers coach. There you go.
Okay, great. All right.
Doesn't mean shit.
No, it doesn't. All right, homeboy. Hey.
Keep it up.
Hey.
I think the Amazon order is supposed to deliver today. That spoon that you're holding there looks a little small. I think the next one coming in is supposed to be one of those mega industrial spoons that you use like in the restaurants where they feed like 1,000 people. You're stirring the pot.
Hold on, like a soup kitchen spoon?
Yeah, I'm talking like a mat. Have you ever been to Cape May and you seen the guy in the window? Anybody been to Cape May? And there's a guy in the window who throws the fudge up in the air and he's got that big ass spoon. That's Big Sills with the spoon.
We get Garrett. We get Big Sills and Z live on Broad Street in 12 months. Dude, I agree with you 100%, dog.
Wait. You'll get me on Broad Street, all right? Michael Robinson, unless you send in like a $10,000 super chat, we probably won't have Big Sills on Broad Street. But you'll definitely 100% have me on Broad Street if they win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, listen to this. So here it is. Missinelli rips crossing Broad. A Missinelli rips crossing Broad and misogynist racist scumbag Dan Sileo.
Oh, lovely.
I'm
You're living rent. Sills, you're living rent free in the
Hey,
minds of many.
and just so everyone knows, I barely know that guy. I don't know him. He don't know me. So if he's
I know him. He's a piece of shit and a scumbag. And I
hey,
don't give a shit what he
if
has to
he's
say.
on the air telling people he worked with me and he knew me,
I find it funny though that I find it funny that a guy who's made, millions of dollars a year comes out and says that, he controls the narrative on who we are as not only people, as a company, as humans, the way we act, the way we talk, the way we interact with people. Like, bro, Mike Missinelli is a business. He was not an employee of JAKIB Sports. He got paid. You know what? I should hold this until the
don't do that.
I'll give you something. All right? I'll just give you something. All right. He was paid $155,000 for 38 days of work. Think about it. Somebody do the math. And by the way, it wasn't a full day of work. It was a 2-hour show. All right. 38 2-hour shows. $155,000. All the rest of the contract that he didn't complete, which is what he was not paid for, is what he's crying about. And he has now created a narrative that Joe Krauss and the owners of JAKIB Media are bad people. They don't pay people. They don't honor people. They're scumbag, all these different things. And I look at it and I'm like, this couldn't be further from the truth. You are the scumbag. You are the jerk off. And by the way, it's so clear. Like, I might one day, I'm not even kidding, when this thing wraps up, I'm going to print out the contract, which I have in my office right here, and I'm going to show it on the show because it's so easily clear and obvious what he did not do for the network. By the way, again, not an employee. This is a business. He's an
independent contractor, folks.
We're a business. He's a business. He says he's going to do something for a business. He gets paid based on what he does. Dan Sileo, same thing. He completes everything he's asked to do for JAKIB, and he gets paid every dollar he's worth, every dollar he's was contracted for. This isn't hard, but again, you know how people get. You know how social media gets. He controls the narrative, and that's not going to be the case forever. That's where I said earlier in the show, we're patient, and I'm ready to prove everybody wrong. And Sills, a little bit ago, I said something on the show. All the JAKIB haters, all of them will eventually be converted. All right, every last one of them will come home. Come on home, everybody. Come on home. I love you all.
Hey, Xander, one last thing before I let you go. Isn't it funny how you get casted like that? And I've been fighting this for 40 years on people these things up. And like, you guys didn't know me from a can of paint when you first met me. And it's people in our business that do it. It's look at the people in here who listen to us every day. They don't even, some of the people don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because they're like this. They're like, Sileo's not like that. JAKIB's not like that. How about, hey guys, how open was Xander on sending all those giveaways that everything he could have kept for the company, but he sent them out to you during the holidays because you know why? He was feeling so good about what you guys did for us this year. He could have been like Mike and kept it and just didn't do anything. He brought nothing to our network.
Well, I'm not here to take credit for anything about that. And I appreciate you saying it, but it's not about that. I'm more talking about how people, again, it's that's why it's funny. Me and you, we're similar in this regard. JAKIB with you. I mean, people love to just take it and drag us through the fucking mud. But anyway, onward, brother.
Absolutely, my friend. I appreciate you and love you very much. And I wonder how, when you have a guy, and I know that Angelo's friends with Missinelli. And so Missinelli spent 3 hours today on the air calling me a racist and misogynist, and I don't even fucking know the guy. And I've done 2 shows with the guy. Howard Eskin and him. I mean, Angelo says it all the time. I mean, hey, he's
Angelo knows something about, look, as long as they're talking. If they're not talking, then we're not doing it. If they're talking, then I'm good.
All I know is this. I go, and I know Angelo, they're friends, and that's great. I go, I look at Angelo as one of the guys that he's like a mentor to me. And I always have. He didn't know it from afar. I used to watch him all the time. I had that old Syracuse email of his back in the day. When he was on the air, he was like, "Hey, kid, how you doing? Okay, now we meet. We're great friends now, man. I love it. And so Missinelli goes on and spends 2.5 hours today calling me a misogynist racist. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And by the way, it's Paisan on Paisan. Where is this here, man? What's going on here? How can it be?
Not all
then again, you know what somebody said to me today? They're not talking about you, Sills. You ain't doing your job.
I know. That's true. Yeah. All right, brother. And have a good segment with Angelo. I'll catch you tomorrow.
I cannot wait for this one here, man. I mean, hey, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Angelo and my friendship, because I've never seen a guy people go after more than Angelo. But wait, I think that's now me. Remember when he said he's going to pass the torch to me? I think he passed the blowtorch to me. And what's happening? Without further ado, our dear friend, Angelo Cataldi, now joins us here on a very hot national football show. Boy, I'll tell you, man. Angelo, you got quite a market, man. These Philadelphia guys, man, I mean, you say anything, they get their panties in a bind, they get a little upset. I mean, unbelievable, man.
Listen, if they're talking about you, you're winning. You understand? The only thing that can hurt you, Dan, or anyone in your business is people ignoring you. Let them talk. And one thing, it took me a long time. It took me decades into my career to realize that all these attacks on me were paying bills. And when that happened, I would encourage it and I would engage at every opportunity, which in effect would help the other guy too. Feuds, I had a whole chapter in my book on all the feuds I had. And I had to cut out a ton of them. I had feuds with everyone. And the thing with me was, I wasn't trying to make friends with any of those people.
No,
they were basically a means to an end. They gave me attention. I gave them attention. Don't let it bother you, Dan.
No.
Whatever they called you. Here's what Mike did at one point. Did send me some indication that he had some negative thoughts about you. And I said to him what I said to everyone. All I can gauge is my dealings with the guy. And Dan Sileo to me is not only one of the absolute best talk show hosts, he's one of the best truth tellers in the business. And my experience with him has been as positive as it's been with anyone in the business, past, present, or probably future. So don't let any of it bother you, Dan. You know your stuff, man.
You know what? You know what, Angelo? I guess somebody told me this, and Tony Bruno told me this too. When you're successful in like the way you and I do business, because like you said, we kept people in our business close to us for like content. These guys were content for my show. These guys were not, I pick and choose my friends. My friends don't get a chance to choose me. I pick my friends. And I have always done this. I mean, the things that are posted about me and said about me, none of it's true. It's never been, but you know, you can't fight some of the stuff. And it's taken me, like you said, all these years for me just to go, hey, you know what? I can't do anything about it. So I'm not going to outrun it. If you want to call me that, you're just going to have to watch my show. And everybody in here knows now. I mean, we get everybody on and everyone knows that is my friend, knows the truth. So I'm with you now. And so when somebody says that to me, I always find that as the loudest guy in the room is usually the weakest guy in the room. And so that to me is how my philosophy has always been in our business, because again, Angelo, everyone's got an angle on trying to get around a corner. And you and I have always said, I've had a sandbox of friends in broadcasting. There's about 6 of them. You're one of them. And I've got them in there now. And you know what? I don't have a lot of friends outside of it because I've got a job to do. And I have so few friends in my life because then I choose it to be that way. So again, I mean, you know, I used to get upset. Did you used to get upset about it?
Yeah, for a long time. And then I realized that it was ridiculous because people were talking about me. And as long as they were pronouncing the name right, or if they were writing it correctly, they were helping me. And when I finally got to the point where I knew that, I not only embraced their negativity, I responded with it. And it was fine. Then I just left the 3 best friends I have in my life. They're 3 little kids who are my grandchildren, who I play with and love. And that's where it matters.
You bet.
of stuff is all. None of these people are going to throw themselves in front of you if a bullet's coming. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about who your friend. The family, yes. This friend stuff, it never really worked for me.
Hey, Angelo, the only thing I'm sure of is my daughter's love.
Exactly.
That's
That's
it.
all that matters.
Yeah.
The other stuff doesn't matter.
I know. That's the only thing I am dead sure of is my daughter's love for me here. So let's get into this here. I mean, I got to tell you, Angelo, these last 3 days and I'm going to start with Howie. You know, he ends up cutting Slate, and it looks like, according to Drew Rosenhaus's people who reps him, there's a great chance that he's coming back to play at the cornerback position. 70-30, they said, depending on what Detroit offers up, because he cleared waivers. Then he ends up giving Barkley the extension. I mean, this guy's playing the fifth quarter of the Super Bowl here. I mean, give me your thoughts on what you've seen so far with him.
You know, I'm comparing him to the other GMs in Philadelphia, and he's running laps around him.
Oh.
These other guys, the ineptitude. I'm going to leave Dave Dombrowski out of it. It's a different game. But the two winter guys, Daryl Morey and Danny Briere, right? The Sixers and the Flyers. Morey can't get anything right. He's playing a game tonight with his three main stars. He's probably paying them together over $100 million this year. None of them are playing. And this guy, you can't be worse than Daryl Morey's been this year. You can't. And he very rarely speaks, so he doesn't engender any sort of interest in the team. The team is a cadaver in our city. And the only team actually deader than that is the Flyers, who haven't existed. Their body got cold about 4 years ago. And you got Danny Briere, and I know the president was a co-host of mine, Keith Jones. Danny Briere, on a team that gets no attention, is basically giving you nothing.
I got to stop, Angelo.
Conference to tell you nothing.
I got to stop. I got to tell you guys, I asked Angelo if he had a connection for John Tortorella a couple weeks ago. He goes, "No, I don't have any connections to the Flyers. Why would I talk about them?"
No, they're irrelevant. And if you were the GM of that team and you were trying to build it back up, one of your goals is to get people thinking about it again. They're not going to. I went a couple of years ago. Keith Jones brought me in to give some media tips to Danny Briere and the other people with the Flyers. And I looked Danny right in the face. I went, Danny, because I know he's a bad talker. He doesn't talk. He's in the Ron Hextall school, which is treat everybody like crap. Don't say anything. Give nobody nothing. And I said, the next time you're going to say no comment, Danny, instead of that, put in the word screw you, because that's what you're saying to people. And boy, how great a teacher am I? He really learned a lot. But nothing. Howie Roseman is running laps. You're watching the way a guy is general manager of the team right now, who is the best general manager in sports.
Yes.
All sport. People were emailing me, oh, man, they're going to lose Zach Baum. They're going to lose Zach Baum. I went, they're not going to. Howie will not lose a player that he knows is important to the success of the team. And he won't. Slay, he's 34, a corner. Yeah, if you get him at the right price, you get him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get other options. He's handling it exactly the right way. And he's doing it in a way that just keeps interest. Oh, the Eagles haven't played a game in a month. There's still so much more interest in what they're doing than anyone else in our city. And these other guys don't understand. You just can't get through to them. And Howie Roseman is the best GM in sports right now.
Tell me this though, Angelo. Okay. Prior to the broom closet, when Laurie put him in there, then after the broom closet, what do you think has been the difference from that guy who you had questionable moves? Then after, you're not really questioning anything, especially the last 4 years. You got 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 win. and the amount of winning you've had in 4 years, what's been the difference in your opinion?
Great question. Prior to Chip Kelly, prior to the broom closet, he wasn't that good. He made a ton of mistakes. He wasn't great at evaluating. He wasn't lot of weaknesses. All right, comes back. You can see he's different. The pre broom closet, Howie had his own radio show on WIP on our station. He was every week was taking calls from fans, telling them who to trade, it was very weird because how much can a GM say during the season? Afterwards, no, he wasn't doing that anymore. He moved back a couple of steps, and he's just gotten better and better at it the last 5 years, right? From even after, although he had a great year when they won the Super Bowl, but that was a little fluky too, with winning with your backup quarterback.
It was.
But he just, now you see, he's going with the big schools. He's going with schools that get their players ready to play in the NFL. And he's using those picks much better. And he's more aggressive than he's ever been. And he's going after the people that really can help the team. And he's not losing the players he needs. Now, I have no fear whatsoever that any of these guys that Howie has prioritized who are going out into free agency, if Howie doesn't think he can find somebody as good or better, he'll bring the guy back. He just will. He's that good at it now. And he's showing everybody. He's showing all the NFL guys how important it is to trade people because he's doing more trading than anyone else is in the league. He's just really got it figured out.
He really does. And he's just lapping, like you said, he's playing chess and everyone's playing checkers right now. And I put it out here to you too, Angelo. I think the difference from 17, and you're right, it is fluky. The 22 was a little fluky. And I'll tell you the difference now, though, and why I do think there's a window. In 17 to 22, the team and the defense, most notably, was built around mercenaries, which meant that you had to come back the following year and replace those mercenaries. But this group here, look at how many of the homegrown guys now you have on defense. Both potential corners with Cooper, if you want to move them out there. Quinion, you got N'Kobe in the middle. Look at what you got up front. You got Davis and Carter, and you got all these guys, Nolan Smith. You got more core group of guys, and I think it's easier this time to fill those gaps with free agents. That's why I think there's going to be more of a window open. Do you agree?
That's the formula, Dan. You just said it. The core, the foundation of the team is great draft picks. And then where there are holes, you fill them in with free agents, some of whom nobody even values. A year ago, Zach Bourne nobody cared. No one, he didn't register. He was a special teams guy.
He was 25th, Angelo, on the linebacker list for free agents last year.
And that guy was as big a reason as any for the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And that takes some great talent evaluation. So Howie and whoever he's got under him, who said, go out and get this guy. It was brilliant. It was incredible. Howie's last offseason was as fantastic as anything I've ever seen by a roster creator, because that's what he is. He creates the roster. And it can't be this easy. I'm sure he's going to whiff. He whiffed on Bryce Hoff, so he didn't get everyone right. But he got so many right that they won a championship.
Angelo, do you not agree the only thing the Yachtsman does right is the fact that he gives Roseman the latitude with that bag of money to front end these contracts so that they can decrease the value of the per season money? We're like, look at what he did. Look at what he did here the last 3 days. And this does go back to the Yachtsman. He may not do a lot of things right, but look at the last 3 days. You cut Slay, you get 4.3 in savings. You cut Bradbury, you get 2.1 in savings. And the contract, according to the NFLPA, with the contract extension that you gave to Barkley, created $15 million in cap space. Well, shit, there's your money for Zach Vaughn. I mean, I think they do this, Angelo. I think they spend a lot of money on the offense, but with that cap difference, That's where they spend the difference on the other side of the ball. And they take that cap difference and they utilize that difference by acquiring defensive football players. And I think that's their formula.
It is. And the yachtsman, Jeff Lurie, the owner of the team, it's just my theory, Dan. I don't know this, but I feel that over the course, especially the last 5 years, he's butted in less with Howie. That he has finally come to the conclusion. I can tell you this unequivocally. Jeff Lurie doesn't know a good player from a bad player. Jeff Lurie is a billionaire who is not studying tape for 10 hours a day. He doesn't know squat. And if you listen to him talk for 5 minutes, you'll realize that he's a billionaire who is an owner of a team, but that's as far as it goes. That doesn't mean he didn't get involved before, but I don't think he is now. I think what you're seeing right now is I think maybe the first Super Bowl convinced Lurie to step back and just let Howie do his job because Howie owns, I don't know, if Howie became a free agent, right? If Howie suddenly ran out of contract, Dan, you would have 31 other teams bidding to bring him in and do the same thing there, right?
Jets.
The Jets, oh my God, the Jets. They ended up getting his lieutenant or his deputy, and that didn't work out. I'm telling you right now, Howie Roseman can write his own final chapters of his career. He could go anywhere. I hope he stays in Philadelphia because the Eagles are going to be good as long as Howie's around. I really believe that now.
You think he's the greatest GM in Eagle history? I mean, in Philadelphia sports history?
Wow, now that people will tell you Keith Allen was the architect of the Flyer championships of the 70s. He was not only a great GM, he was a brilliant communicator with everyone, including the media. He was absolutely fantastic. So I put Howie up in that category. Yeah, I think there aren't many others. I mean, Pat Gillick was a great GM. In the era that the Phillies won, but they won one championship. So I don't know how much you want to say about that. He's in the pantheon now. Like if you're doing a Mount Rushmore GMs, he's one of 4 for sure. And by the time he's done, given that the Eagles are the biggest thing in Philadelphia, he'll probably be regarded as the best GM we have ever had.
How about this? I'll ask you 2 more questions here. Angelo, you bring up the Flyers. That's kind of when I was a super young kid and some of those teams, and I remember, again, the Flyers and the Islanders were some of the greatest rivalries of all time. And there was a buzz in the city where they didn't think Flyer hockey would ever work, but it became such an iconic team. That 73 to 77 team in that window when they won those 2 in the middle of those years there was so few teams that won cups. There was a buzz about the city, though, for that team. Is that what you're seeing now with this Eagle team? That there's just, like you said, I mean, your content, if you were putting your contact page together on your board, 90% of it would have to be Eagles, and it's not football season.
It would. And I would, before every show, I would use percentages on how much I wanted to talk about teams. And you're right. Right now, I'd probably go 75% Eagles in the off season.
Yeah.
They're so dominant. And I'd go maybe 2% or 1% on the Flyers because they just don't register. And the only thing I do with the Sixers is attack their ownership and the GM and Joel Embiid and the travesty that organization has become. So there'd be plenty to rip there, but that's about it. And then the Phillies will get the rest of it. But baseball, I mean, the Phillies have a playoff team. So we're really waiting now till the end of September to see how they do when it matters. You know, I mean,
right. You know, I mean, the first 20 games of the year, you know, you're kind of like going back and forth on nothing. You want to get to kind of July 4th, and then you kind of know what you got.
You're right.
Finally here, you mentioned it. Do you think Joel Embiid will ever play another minute for the Sixers ever again? Will you ever see him in a uniform again, or do you think in the offseason they try some way to move on from him?
Well, they would at this point. I would like to believe they want to move on from him, but there's no way to, because these guys. This just tells you the insanity of Daryl Morey. They just tacked on 3 extra years. He's going to make in the final year when he's 34, totally broken down.
All guaranteed. All guaranteed.
$64 million in one season. This year, he played 19 games. He made 2.6 million per game. Yeah, I wrote about this on my blog this week. The Joel Embiid era is over. Do you understand? The window is shut. They're never going to get a sniff of any championship for the process and all the tanking they did to get what amounted to Embiid, right? But they can't acknowledge it because they kept throwing more money at their mistake. Here's the problem with him. I had this term I used all the time when it's on the air. Joel Embiid has $1 million body and a 10-cent brain, all right? And that has been the problem from day one. He's a child, right? We found out a few years ago he drinks Shirley Temples like a little kid does, right? He is not wired like a Jason Tatum, like a winner. He's not wired that way. He's never going to be able to do that. Or even an Iverson. Yeah. No, he doesn't have that. And the older he gets and the more injury prone he gets, the less inclined he is to even try. He's got enough money for 10 lifetimes. Yeah. They made sure of that. We all thought Ben Simmons was the biggest problem of that process era because he stunk, right? No. Embiid was, because Embiid sponged in all this money. Didn't even get to an Eastern Conference final. So, yeah, he'll play again because no one will take him now for the amount of money he's got. 2 years ago when he was the NBA MVP, you could have written a ticket for him. But no, they weren't going to do that because they were going to win championships here. Yeah, sure. What are they now, 20 games under 500? Oh, what a train wreck. No, he will never win here. He will play. I don't know how they're going to get to the back end of that deal. He can barely. I mean, even now, he can't stay on the court. It's a losing proposition, Dan. It's bad.
This guy is worse than Sam Bowie because you're paying him. I mean, hey, what you need now, Angelo, is Doge to go in there and clean up the Sixers for God's spending.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, Elon Musk. Let's get him on the sideline.
Hey, go in there and clean that thing up there. Angelo, it is always great. And by the way, you are a mentor of mine, and I'm so proud to be your friend. And thank you so much, my friend. I mean, you and your family.
I heard all this stuff, Dan. Now that I heard all this stuff about you, I'm not sure I want to be your mentor anymore.
Thank you, Angelo Cataldi. Thank you so much, my friend. You got it. That is the great Angelo Cataldi. That was so nice of him. I want Xander. Screw the Fisher clip. I want that clip, what he said about Big Sills. I'm going to post that today because that was awesome. That's right. That's why me and him have very few friends in this business because you know when these people are always going to turn on you like that. That was great. By the way, don't forget, it is, it's funny. Xander asked me a question about the NCAA tournament the other day. You know how many Final Fours I've been to? 5? My wife even produced one of my Final Fours. I think when we went to Atlanta, I think Indiana got beat by Kansas that year when we were at Fox Sports Radio. And now with our friends at BetUS, the NCAA tournament is one of the best events, if not the second best event or third best event, probably the second best event in American sports. And our friends at BetUS with the YouTube 150, with all the tournament games coming up, how can you not be involved with our friends and how you can bet on every single game? You got signing bonuses up to 2K with the YouTube 150. Second and third are 125%. Crypto, if you're into it, is 200%. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, He gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Sills, 3 likes away from 300. It's been a fun show today. Fun show. By the way, thank you guys so much today. It's been absolutely fun today, man. 298, Elizabeth. 2 more. 2 more away. Xander, I'm going to do a live read here with John Morgan here in a second here, but not a commercial break. Just come back here in a second. So we'll do that. By the way, tomorrow, I think Ray Didinger's coming on. So we'll have Ray tomorrow too, by the way. So I wrote this down. Here are the teams that I potentially think could give the Eagles not a run for their money, not a run for their dough, but 3 teams or maybe 5 teams that I think could end up having good years this year where you're going to look at them and go, hey, remember this will be prediction number 2. Okay? This will be prediction number 2. Let me see here. So I wrote down the Rams. I think the Rams are going to have a great year. And I think the Rams are a team to keep an eye on, especially when they brought Matthew Stafford back. I think Detroit had a ton of injuries a year ago. I think they're going to be a team. And I do think Green Bay, especially if they get Devontae Adams back, I think they'll be a player in the game. I would also say, obviously, the Commanders. But outside of that, and by the way, are they close? I think the Rams are the only team. I like what you said down there too, Prince. The Rams and Washington, and then Detroit. I think those are the three teams that you're going to look at here. Hey, by the way, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. Dana, we're just going to come back right here. So, I mean, we're not going to take a giant break here, though. But our friends at Morgan & Morgan, I want you guys to make sure that if you're ever in need of any kind of legal issues, especially if you've been injured, you go to Morgan & Morgan. Ultima and John have put together the best injury law firm in America with over $20 billion in recovery. This is what they're about. With over 1,000 attorneys across the country, they're there to defend you and get your right returned because these insurance companies are not going to do the right thing. Morgan & Morgan makes sure that you do it. If you're ever injured, please check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan. The fee is free unless you are injured. For more information, please go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR. thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Guys have been awesome today, man. Thank you so much. You guys ended up over 300 likes. We've had an amazing week. And I think, get this, Howie's had an amazing week, and Big Sills has had an amazing week. He's a Gator, though, so I'm not going to go crazy here with this, but I don't know. Maybe it goes hand in hand. And by the way, I got to hand it to Bob Lang. Hey, Bob, you want to drop some more love on our show? When you're dropping stories and you're breaking news, have at it. I like this time. We love it. Thank you for Angelo. Xander, you were awesome too. We appreciate that. Merrill Reese was great. Make sure you go back and check those out. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button. Big Z and Big Joe, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow. And we'll see you on the flip side.